You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Starseeds and Patriots of Down Under. I'm hoping that you are all well. I've been away for a little while, and I have unfortunately had to deal with a few things. But now I'm back up on the horse. A couple of things that were personal, but also a couple of unfortunate technical difficulties I was having last night. That's why we didn't go live last night, unfortunately, and I do apologise for that. But I've also had a couple of health scares that I had to deal with as well in the last 7 weeks. So I do apologise sincerely to everyone for my absence and for Bob's absence as well. But we're back. We're back in the saddle today. We're back on the horse, and we're going to be giving everything a good crack from here on in. This is just a preliminary reboot show. The actual official reboot show will be next week because unfortunately there's just a few little things I still need to iron out with the sound and audio to get it properly dialed in. But once we've got that, we'll be able to play some really good music through here in proper sound with proper bass and treble, and actually so it fills your speakers in your home. But in saying that, we've got a lot going on. We've got a few things happening very soon and actually coming up. We've got, actually, to tell you the truth, we've got Mr. John Yost joining us on the 12th of May next month, which will be an absolute amazing show itself. John is actually an international film producer, director, screenwriter, and producer. And he's produced recently a documentary that won documentary film and UFO documentary of the year at two separate events, UFO Con and UFO Expo in America. Won both awards for 2 years in a row for his documentary, and it gets released this month on the 29th of April, and that gets released on every major platform. So if any of you are out there to join up to any of those major platforms like Amazon, Netflix, or whatever, go and check out John's Alien Abduction Answers when it comes out on the 29th of April this year. It's going to be an amazing event, seeing that come out released worldwide. But also to be having John with us and speaking so openly about his actual experience and talking with us just generally about how all of this came about and his experience, his journey, and where it got him to today is going to be absolutely mind-blowing for myself, especially because John and myself actually have found we have quite a lot in common and a couple of experiences that are very, very close to each other. And I really am looking forward to having John come here and actually be with us at Starseeds and be a new member and family member of our, of Starseeds family. And that's all going to be happening on the 12th of May. So please join us for that. We've also got another couple of segment shows coming up where we actually do global meditations in the future. We'll be doing that. We'll also be having other interesting guests coming and joining us as well. We'll also be doing a Friday night Truth in Plain Sight show where we'll be throwing how Hollywood specifically does truth in plain sight through their actual movies and showing us actual real-life programs, technology, etc. in our favourite TV shows. And I've got some absolute pearlers for you coming up. The first one I'll be starting with is Stargate SG-1 and the actual movie. And funnily enough, that movie actually only just came on TV just the other night. I thought it was quite synchronistic that whilst I was planning my Friday night reboot show, that preview or trailer comes on TV for the show or the movie coming on TV that night. So it just kind of gave me a bit of a kick in the ribs saying, yeah, you're on the right path, mate. So that's going to be one of the things we're going to be showing you in the near future on Friday night next week is a Truth in Plain Sight show showing you how Stargate and Stargate SG-1, Atlantis and Universe are all truth in plain sight and how these are USAPs, unacknowledged special access programs that are being thrown in our faces for us to enjoy as entertainment. We're going to be covering all that. So I hope you can join us for that. And it's going to be brilliant. Some of the things that we've got coming up, I really am anticipating because it's just going to be so much fun. We're going to have so many new little segments and things. We're going to be doing readings and so many other things. So, yeah, please, I hope you can all join us. We've got some beautiful guests with us again today. I'd like to introduce everyone. Welcome back, Bob. How are you, mate? You with us?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Chris. And
That's good, mate. I'm glad to hear your voice. It's been a few weeks since we've done something together, mate, and I'm really, apologetic that we haven't been able to get there yet. But I'm just so glad that you've been able to join us today and, sharing our experience together. That, because today Bob and I are going to be sharing with you an experience that we've discovered that we had through our conversations, and we also found through that conversation that we also share that experience with someone else that's within the beautiful community that we all love and are trying to bring truth to. And that gentleman is by the name of James Gilliland of ESETI Ranch. And just so turns out that, myself and James and Bob have all had this experience, which is quite an amazing thing. So we'll share that with you very shortly. I'd also like to introduce to you, everyone, to our beautiful friend Jamie, who's coming in with us right now. Jamie's here with us at the moment. This is Jamie Angel Wings, everyone, from the USA. This is my wonderful friend who's also a tarot reader and spiritual healer. She also interprets a lot of energies, and she is joining us today finally as well. Jamie, how are you, sweet?
Great. Hello. Now, occasionally you might hear a chaos. Of course, when you decide to go live, my cats have lost it.
They're loving the energies.
Yes.
Bodhi's come up here as well.
Yep.
Bodhi's just loving it. How you been keeping, my friend? You well?
Oh, yeah. Hanging in there, trying to keep up with everything, working on more readings and paranormal stuff going on, all sorts of things.
There is quite a lot. Hey, there is a lot. And I'm just so glad that you've been able to join us finally. We're finally here. Because, this has been a few weeks in the making for all of us. Because we've been trying to get going. 3 weeks especially out of the last 7 that I've been off the off air. The last 3 of these last 3 weeks have actually been planned to keep going forward. And we've actually had all 3 of us have had synchronicities happen in such a way that we just couldn't quite get there until today, until it aligned properly. And so, I find it really cool that we've finally been able to get here, get you to join us finally as well, and have this time together. I think it's just amazing. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, and actually, while you're here, say hello to the Australian public, because this is your first time with us on the Australian public, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And then I'm glad to be a part of this all, because I got so much information to add to all of it myself, too.
You're most welcome to join and contribute as much as you can, my good friend. I just cannot wait for this to go where it's going and take us where it's going as well, because we're all a big happy family now, because that's what we're trying to do, is create a big family of love. So, thank you for joining us, Jamie. I'm really appreciative of you being here today. Thank you. Wow.
Thanks for having me. That much, I appreciate it.
It's just, it's been a long time coming. We've been friends now for nearly 6 months? 7 months? Yeah, and in that time we've created a great rapport. We even had a falling out at one stage. And within a day, as we do, we work through these things and we talk about things. And I think that was the beautiful part that really defined our relationship, is that we actually value each other and respect each other enough that we could just approach the situation the next day. It wasn't a bad falling out, audience. It was just a misunderstanding as such. But it felt bad for me, and I know that Jamie didn't feel too good either about it at the end of the day. And I just thought, this is something that's worth fighting for. If you love a good friend and respect them, you always work it out. And that's exactly what we did. And within a day, people, regardless of the misunderstanding, we were back to where we were. So that just shows you, everyone, how much, if you care about someone and care about the friendship, that you too can save it as well if you communicate. Communicate's the best key, wouldn't you agree with Jamie on that one?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that's where a lot of all these connections get all mixed up too, is the perception. So many have a hard time with other perceptions and let it get in the way. And I even sometimes do, and I try really hard to understand everyone else's perception and realize everyone's going to have a different opinion and a different idea.
That's right. That's right. And that's something that I always get reminded of, by others as well. I have to be reminded of that sometimes, because we are all different in every way, and we all vary with our opinions. So it's just a matter of that perception and respecting them. One thing I've also found, and I think you should both agree, is that texting is going to have to go out sooner or later, because texting does not convey the tone in which the person is trying to get across. You know what I mean? Like, you could be sending something across in a text message that could be so innocent as such and worded perfectly, but unless they're in the right frame of mind, they might read that in an angry mindset and take offense to it. You know what I mean? And I've had that happen to me several times with other people in the past. I'm like, wow, where did that come from? You know, like, and it kind of makes you question, well, okay, then it's the syntax. It's not the syntax that you're using. It's the actual tone that's not being conveyed. And people can hear the tone in which you're trying to convey it and things like that. Then we have this whole thing where we don't have to worry about the breakdown of communication because text won't have to do that. You know, that's why I like to send voice messages to you guys, because at least you can hear my voice and know full well that I'm actually speaking in a tone that's very upbeat and uplifting. You know what I mean? But there's sometimes where there's other things where I've had messages from other people and I've read them myself and I'm like, yeah, I can understand where that can kind of break down. So yeah, I'm just so appreciative of the fact that you and I cared enough for our relationship and friendship that we were willing to just do whatever it took to actually fix it, because it only took a day, didn't it, Dal?
Yeah, it was pretty quick that we both realized our faults and stuff and went, wait a minute, that's just silly to argue over something like that.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, because yeah, I try not to rely on text as much as most of the world, unfortunately. But yeah. But so I was going to say, people, how about we get on with this show? Because yeah, I've got a few little things to talk about, and I know that Bob is waiting in the background as well. He'd like to talk about it. Oh, mate, came through earlier. Sorry, I don't even know why I thought about him. But anyway, yeah, Bob's in the background waiting as well. I'd love to get to talking with Bob as well and have him and I talk about our little experience that we had that we share. And we may as well just leave you in right now, Jamie, and just keep you with us right here instead of bringing you in and out. I was going to say, is your phone on charge?
Oh yeah, I'm holding it actually pretty good.
That's good. All right, we'll save you going in and out. We'll just leave you in the stream with us all now, so you just can completely join in the conversation. So I'm sure there's beautiful input you'd like to put in there as well. I mean, just knowing or hearing myself and Bob's story in a minute, you'll probably have input that you'd like to. You probably might even find something amongst it that you can identify that's happened very similar to you. Maybe, who knows? Because that will just confirm and validate even further what myself and Bob have got to say today. So yeah, I was going to say, Bob, would you like to kick it off, mate, and actually start our experience that we had? Because I know that, yeah, this is curious, because wait till you see this, people, because I mean, seriously, this is actually blowing me away, because knowing that myself, Bob, and James Gilland have had the same experience, but I also share another experience with Tyler Koala from Journey to Truth podcast, where him and I have had a shared experience only 2 years apart, but mine happened 7 years ago and his happened 5 years ago. Sorry, his happened 2 years ago, but mine was, yeah, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So would you like to start it off, Bob?
Yeah. So, okay, we're talking about the hospital with the blue lady?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Right. So, for me, mine happened well over 40 years ago. Dare I say it? Old decrepit me. I went into to hospital and I had my tonsils and adenoids taken out, because as a young child, I had a really, really bad problem with snoring, and I could not breathe through my nose. Didn't matter how hard I tried, I had real difficulty breathing through my nose. So I was put under the surgeon's knife, and yeah, and of what I remember as a 5-year-old, in the post-recovery, I was very, very sore, still had issues and that sort of thing. But that night, they had a very slim lady came to us in a blue uniform, like with a skirt, quite neatly dressed. And she handed me a little cup. And in the cup was a tiny little black pill. And again, I was only a nipper. Swallowed it down, and boom, out, went to sleep. Remembered absolutely nothing. The following day, the surgeon actually commented on how well I had recovered. so much better than what he had actually realised. And since then, even talking with my mum and that sort of thing, post that experience, that originally I was doing very badly, and they might actually have to go in again. But for some reason, I suddenly came right. No explanation, and to this day, I've never seen that lady again. However, I know that there is a presence around me. That when I get really, really sick and down, I know she comes. But I've never seen her again physically since that day.
Wow.
I'll throw that one out there.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. My experience is very similar to Bob's. I was 4 years of age, and I was taken into hospital in Penrith, New South Wales, Australia here, for those of you that are overseas. And I was actually admitted with a hernia on my right testicle, as a wee nipper myself, and I had to go in for surgery. And I remember coming out of surgery, and I remember having jelly and ice cream the next that afternoon. And I remember specifically on my right side here, on my right side of my pelvis, that there was an actual incision there, where stitches had been put. And I remember having the gauze pad on my right side as well. And I remember going home the next afternoon after going through anaesthetic and coming out of surgery and everything like that, and having my ice cream and jelly. I remember going home, and my mother said to me, "Would you like to have a bath?" Because I was afraid of actually ripping off the gauze wire, because I was afraid the stitches would come out too. And she's reassured me, "Chris, it's okay, honey. Just hop in the water, and the gauze pad will actually fall away, and the tape will fall away from your body, and your stitches will still be there." And I look down, and all I see is this big dry blood gauze pad that's sitting on my right side that's taped to my pelvis. And I'm thinking, as a kid, this is, how's that going to come off? You don't really know, because you don't understand how sticky tape really works with water. As a kid, you just think as it peels, it's going to hurt. Anyway, I've gone in the water, and I remember this thing floating off me after it got saturated with water. It actually came away, and I looked down. The stitches were there, but there was a scar already. Okay, now this came about due to the fact that whilst I was in hospital, I was visited by a woman in a tight blue fitting outfit that came to me at 2 to 2:30 in the morning, roughly. I woke up out of my sleep. And I remember specifically at that point in time when I was a child, I paid attention to a lot of different things, especially shapes and things. And the matrons back in those days in the 1970s in Australian hospitals used to wear these big hats. And as they walked away down the hallway, every time they walked away, the way it hung down over the back of their neck, it looked like the Superman logo. The same shape as the Superman logo, which is what we've got up in the top right corner. Same shape as what was hanging off the back of the matron's hats. And I remember the nurses wore all these little paper-like hats that used to clip in with, bobby pins or whatever. And so this woman that was standing in front of me, or sorry, not in front of me, but to the side of my bed, was wearing a uniform that did not fit with what was being consistently worn by nurses and matrons around the hospital at that time. So I knew, for some reason, at 4 years of age, that I'm sitting there with someone that's not supposed to be there. And she smiled at me, and I remember her hand going over my, because I had one of those 70s bowl cuts, like someone put a mixing bowl over my head and they cut around it. Okay. And I remember her pushing my hair out of my face and around my ear, and she handed me what looked like a Weight Watchers ice cream brick. Okay. And it was not cool to the touch. It wasn't cold going down. It felt like bubbles going down my throat. And this is what happened the night before or the morning of that day that I was released. I ate this thing, it went down. I've gone to sleep like you, Bob, knocked out basically. And she wasn't there when I woke up. I even asked the nurse who came in to give me a drink of water when I woke up and gave me my breakfast. I said, "Where's the lady in blue?" And they said, "Lady in blue? There's no one here that wears blue. We all wear white." And I was like, As a child, I was thinking, that's strange, And I was sitting there thinking about this, and it just didn't make sense to me that no one there was wearing blue. But anyway, nonetheless, I've eaten this thing, and I've gone to sleep, and I've woken up, and they've answered this question, and I've gone home and had the bath, and that's what happened. I've looked down, my scar's there. There's no incision mark. So what I put this down to is what I've eaten has actually healed my incision scar overnight. Not even overnight, within a few hours. Because I was, that was 2 o'clock, 2:30 that morning of the day that I was being discharged from my operation that I'd had. So only within about probably 5 hours had I actually had healed. So yeah, I've gone home, I've had this bath, and this has came away, and thought nothing of it for nearly 30 years. And I'm sorry, 40 years actually, because I'm 49. I was, I was 4 years of age when this happened. So I haven't really thought about this for a long time. And as you know, Bob, I had a small health scare just recently that I had to deal with, and turned out to be a nothing burger, thank gosh. But during that time, I was very aware of my body, and actually, during the over 40 years that I've had this scar on my right side, we all know when we've had a scar where it is actually located on our body, and we know we can recall that anytime we want. How is it that recently my scar has jumped from my right-hand side, is now on my left-hand side of my pelvis, where the opposite side completely to where it should be? I have no explanation for that. All I can put it down to is quite possibly that either paradigm shift or a timeline jump, I don't know. But all I know is that it used to be on my right-hand side for the last 40-something years. And I don't have any real explanation for it. But in saying that, the fact that I have had a very similar experience to yourself also comes down to how James Gilliland of ECity Ranch was visited by a woman in tight-fitting blue outfit and was given the same white brick that I was given, but yet James, yourself, and myself did not know each other at the time as children. We all you lived in, I think, New Zealand at the time, did you, Bob?
Yeah, lived in Christchurch, New Zealand at that time. Yeah.
Christchurch, New Zealand. Myself, I lived in Penrith, New South Wales. James Gilliland, wherever he lived at that point in time as a 6-year-old boy when he suffered his drowning, because that's why he ended up in hospital. He actually had a drowning incident where he had a near-death experience, and the salt water that he had actually drawn into his lungs as a child at the beach had actually scarred his lungs, and that's why he was given the white brick himself. He actually was given this white brick, and within a few hours himself, he too healed, which was miraculous. His lungs, even the doctor said, the doctor could not understand as to how or why we did so well and healed so quickly. They discharged him within a matter of hours, of actually being there overnight. So that kind of really says a lot, to say the least. You know what I mean? Like, in saying that, what would you put it down to, Bob? That who you were visited by? Because I know who James says that he thinks or feels that he was visited by, but who do you put it down to that you feel that you were visited by, my friend?
That I still don't know to this day. However, what I will say is they are not of this realm.
No, definitely not.
The technology, whatever that they have, it is not of the known world. No. So whether this is life beyond the ice ring or extraterrestrial, don't know. But
don't know. Sure.
One thing I will say, it is not of the known world. Because even when I swallowed that pill, it had quite a tangy, weird taste to it. And there's nothing like I've ever had since. Ever.
Since?
Yeah. I've never, ever had anything that has remotely come close to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was gonna ask if you could just describe it for us a little bit more. Was it more like a black jelly bean sort of size and shape, or was it something small, like a small ovular pebble?
Sorry, the pill itself was about the same size as a black jelly bean.
Okay.
But the actual taste of it, it was like quite a tangy, zesty, sort of almost like part citrus, part sort of chili sweet chili sort of thing. And very, very weird taste. As I said, I've never come across anything else like it ever that can even
Wow.
remotely describe it.
Interesting. Wow. Because I've heard someone else actually comment on something that looked like a black jelly bean once, but like that was a long, long time ago. Like, I mean, shit, 20 years ago. And I didn't even realize at the time, I had no knowledge of what any of this stuff was back then, 20 years ago. But I heard someone in a documentary talking about a black like jelly bean that had a very similar description as to what you were saying. And until I actually met you, I had no memory of that. And you triggered that memory when we talked about it that night online, Bob. Yeah, so it just shows that there are other people out there that are actually experiencing these experiences with what I would consider to possibly be not of this world or extra-dimensional people, or quite even possibly, because myself, Bob, and Jamie both know, there are groups that are above us right now that have returned after thousands and thousands of years, and it's half the reason why these bastards have done what they've done to us on this planet, and half the reason why they've basically targeted 9/10 of the population for assassination, so to speak. And I will say it straight out loud, I've got no fear of YouTube or their bullshit. But that is the basic fact, because, I mean, they've kept the religious systems of indoctrination written in such a way that they kept the main masses in fear of what is to come from the sky, which they call the grand armies of the heavens that shall return. Well, my guess is that the grand armies of the 6th branch of the US military, thank gosh, amen for that, and the Galactic Federation that are working alongside them. And that is in very groups that these bastards have feared, using religious indoctrination dogma as a means to keep us down and actually in fear of everything that comes from the sky, including every movie that was ever done. They want us to be in fear of what comes from the sky, when in fact it is, to a degree, our brothers and sisters, the very people that we share genetic material with. As it says in the beginning of Genesis, because we know that these books were written directly from precursor texts that come from Sumeria. Let us make man and woman in our image. Well, if you're an all-powerful creator of everything in this whole universe and multiverse, then you don't need to speak to another person and say, let us and make our. We got someone there talking to master geneticists in the room saying, let us make man and woman in our image. And we know exactly who is back now. We know his name. And the funny thing enough is that when I was a child, I used to run around the backyard screaming at the sky always, screaming out. My mum always said, that I used to scream out, let me come back. Funnily enough, I always used to yell out, let me come back. And sometimes when I was in my own little world, in the backyard in my sandpit, I used to sing the words, Ia-enki-doo, Ia-enki-doo, Ia-enki-doo. Yeah, always those words, over and over and over. I'd always sing them. And it wasn't until I learned this stuff in the last 12 years, and who Ia-enki is, Prince Ia, that I realised that I was actually singing to him as a child, giving praise. And I was yelling out to the sky saying, let me come home. Which kind of blew me away. It really gets me. Yeah. I just didn't realise that until recently.
I mean, here's something for you. Go and look at many of your very old buildings, especially the statues. And what do all the statues do? They point up.
Up to the sky. Always.
So all of your modern stuff, that sort of thing, they're all pointing down. The whole lot. But all the old stuff, you look at all the figures, they are all pointing up. Why are they pointing up? It's for a reason.
I had a similar experience as a kid. I don't know if it's kind of similar or not, but it stuck in my head that you were talking about jelly, because I remember having toast out of this blur of bad stuff that happened when I was a kid. Toast with weird jelly on it. It didn't taste right. It was weird. And I just, for some odd reason, I remembered that out of the only thing I ate for like a week.
Wow. Okay.
It didn't have a weird citrus sort of taste to it, did it?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, it was supposed to be strawberry, but it almost had like a metallic slight taste to it.
Okay.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Different to what I had, but okay.
Yeah, it was metallic. Well, and yeah, it had kind of a citrusy thing to it. And I'm like, well, that shouldn't taste like that. It's supposed to be strawberry. And, it didn't taste like strawberry. I'm like, this is weird. And that's the only thing I remember because I was, and it was like I was picked out of the bunch. Something like targeted me as a kid trying to, I feel like I was being targeted to be taken out. So it's kind of silly, but this bigger kid I was like annoying him or something. He grabbed me by the arm and flung me in a circle. And I'm like, that guy's unusually extremely strong. That's weird. And I went flying and I slammed the back of my head. It's so bad in the cement. And yeah, I couldn't see straight. I was having severe migraines. I was lucky I was even alive. I mean, seriously, I should have been dead. That was weird and the strangest thing is nobody cared. Nobody noticed anything wrong.
It just shows how unconscious people really are.
Yeah.
To be able to pass by like that. Yeah, that's not right.
I know, and then as I got older, I just sat there and realized for 2 weeks, I pretty much something definitely was something activated something in me, maybe even also to help heal myself. Because I basically was being helped by someone other than my own parents because they weren't even paying attention to me. So I definitely had help from outside source because they wouldn't even take me to the hospital because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah, wow, jeez.
I know something like that severe. You would have thought you'd be taken to the hospital, or
you'd think so. You'd think, yeah. Any normal parent or any normal adult with the right mind would actually be not freaking out, but at least be there to actually be there for the child right now and actually take care of them and get them the actual medical attention they need. But to sit there and not care like that, that's just not right. I'm sorry that you actually went through that, Dale. I'm really
I know it was very scary because I couldn't see straight. I even curled up in a ball. I fell asleep on my desk, and then the teacher had me go lay on a beanbag, and they had a hard time waking me up. I probably had a concussion really bad. Nobody even noticed. Nobody even cared. And the thing is that kid got off scot-free. No one did anything to him.
That's the way of the bullying system that condones the bully, so that the person that is victimized is actually made to feel guilty for the actual incident. And I mean, I can recognize that straight off. They did that to my daughter during high school, and she was being bullied very heavily at school as well. And they made her do a program called Managing the Bull, like managing the bully. And I said, and why is she being punished and made to do a bloody, fair enough, it's good information that she can learn how to handle these people, but what happened to the actual bully? Oh, they got off scot-free. That's what my daughter said. They got off scot-free, no suspension, no nothing, but my daughter had to sit in a class and learn how to deal with bullies.
Yeah.
It just shows you how much the system is inverted and reversed in order to support those that actually are prepared to victimize someone.
Yeah.
And that's the way of the cabal. It's the way of the deep state. It's the way of Satanists, straight out. And I'll say it straight up on my channel.
I was going to say, isn't it interesting, Chris, that you and I have had conversations over this where, God knows how many hidings I got as a young kid, because I would often be attacked as a group, but I would wait till they were on their own, and I would give each of those people the right flogging of their life. And it's like teachers would do absolutely nothing. So it's like, stuff you. Oh, yeah, you're big and tough in a group. I'll wait till you're on your own. I mean, I'd got some severe beatings and whatnot over it, but I got every last one of the bastards on their own, and they weren't that tough.
Oh, yeah. I can vouch for that. All the girls were like in these mean cliques, and as soon as they were by themselves, they didn't even dare look at you. Because I went at one once, and I said, "You're not tough without your entourage, are you?"
That's the thing. You got to put it on them when they're by themselves, because it really makes them understand as to how really insignificant, like the rest of us, really are sometimes, and how alone we can feel as well. I mean, not not that we're insignificant by any means, but sometimes how we can feel insignificant, very small and afraid and alone when these sorts of incidents happen to us. But when you go and put it back on them and actually say, hey, listen here, pull up, or you want to have a go, 9 times out of 10 their head peels backwards, they start shitting themselves, and they have to walk away, or they won't even dare look at you. So I can vouch for that myself. Like that's happened to me so many times. I mean, as Bob said, I've been given floggings, and I've had to give a few hidings as well, just to make sure that we don't get picked on, because that's the thing. Until you actually stand up for yourself and say something, these people just keep coming back every time.
Yeah.
And until you stop it, it's just a continuous merry-go-round.
And I really think it has to do with our higher frequency, because as a kid, I even had like a higher frequency. I was more aware of everything, and just on a higher, like a higher frequency, and it's like they could pick up on it, and they didn't like it. It bothered them. I mean, I've never been ridiculed and treated so terribly for being happy. It's weird. They come at you for being a happy-go-lucky all the time, and it just makes no sense. You think of being such a positive person, they would want to be around a positive person. Instead, it's usually the opposite. They just want that negativity.
They do. They thrive on it, actually. It's a frequency, like loosh energy.
Very
much like loosh energy that the Draco like to feed off when they don't eat flesh as such, or harvest pineal glands, etc. But yeah, the loosh energy is such, that's something that they live off. It's an energy field or frequency that can sustain them. And I dare say that anyone of a lower vibration of frequency or lack of consciousness, these entities can pretty much inhabit your mind and pretty much live off that energy through you.
Very, very much.
I mean,
Oh, and I apologize. I always make sure I'm prepared before I start. I'm going to run and grab a water. I'll just mute and camera, and I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem.
I mean, speaking about those entities and that sort of thing,
yes.
I mean, it's why you have drugs, alcohol. It's why you have bully groups. They want you in a state of depression. It's why you have debt levels to the levels that they are. So you are constantly down in the dumps. And that's how these entities feed. Where if you're happy, you rise your vibration, they can't get you. Because the energy that you emit is actually poisonous to them. And these things do exist, folks. I mean, I've seen some pretty way out stuff in my life, but the first time that I actually saw an entity sitting on the back of someone, that was life-changing. And
it's funny you say that about an entity sitting on the back of someone there, Bob, because I watched a video the other day that was sent to me of a camera that was set up in a room for sleep hypnosis, or not sleep hypnosis, a sleep.
It was like a sleep
room where you studied from where you have lack of sleep, like they actually study you for and what your actual patterns are. And this person eventually did go to sleep. They had a camera on them, and this camera had a spectral thermograph filter lens on it. And it picked up on something that I have never seen in my life. I've believed in them, but until I saw it, I never really actually truly understood how they operated or how they worked or how they came in. And this thing was sitting on the stomach or the chest area of someone, had a tail. It was only like roughly 2 foot, roughly about this, or if you can see me in camera, about this big, with legs, with arms, but it had a tail hanging off it, and it did not look human. Did not look human whatsoever, but it was sitting on the chest of this person that was going through their sleep survey or whatever, in this sleep hospital.
Sleep apnea study.
And this was just not right. Like what I saw was definitely inhuman, not even capable of human form. It was something God, definitely a lower fourth dimension or hell, that's for sure.
Right. Well, something I'll throw out there: infrared cameras. Do you know why they are not so wide? Yeah. Do you know why they are not so widespread?
No.
They're very easily made, and even your cell phone, you can actually bring your cell phone into an infrared capability quite easily. But do you know why they are not widespread in the marketplace? Because they see it.
No, why is that, mate?
Because they see it. When you have that sort of thing, they're cold, which is why often people that are really, really down in the dumps always feel cold. And basically, where these entities sit is either around your kidneys or just over your shoulders. So they're sitting in the body's meridians where the energy flows greatest. So they can literally suck in your energy. Now, I've worked in all sorts of places, casinos, airports, a whole lot. You can see this stuff because their infrared cameras are used. Because what they want to see, people that are sweating. Why are they sweating? Well, they're either like really large and bit of a walk has exerted a lot of heat. So they go, oh yeah, okay. They're not really people of concern. They have someone that's quite slim get it off an airplane. It's quite cold outside, yet they're sweating profusely, and they've got a guilty look on their face. Hey, that's the one we want to have a look at. Are they carrying something internally? Have they got something strapped to their body, which an infrared camera will actually show, because there is a temperature difference. Because clothing with changes in temperature disappear.
That's right.
So there's a lot of things, folks, that if many people truly knew what was going on, there would be an outrage like you wouldn't believe. But as I said, cop shops, airports, certain train stations, casinos, they all have thermal imaging, and it's all there in their main entrances. They know if you're packing a firearm when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
All right.
And they're carrying the entity on their back.
Absolutely, and you can see it. And I mean, if you're also aware, the minute you walk into a room, you know there is something wrong because you can feel them. If you're trained in that side of things, if your senses aren't dulled with alcohol or drugs, you walk into a room, you know when there is something not right in that room, and it will not take you long to figure out where it is and what it's doing.
That's right. Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. I've had many experiences like that where I've walked into a room and you can literally choke on the energy from being such a high frequency, especially at the old rave parties back in the 90s. You could walk into a room and literally choke on the adrenaline in the air. That's how good the energy and frequency was. I mean, sometimes I walked into one party once and, I mean, the energy and frequency was so livid that there were rain clouds starting to form in the actual ceiling.
Yeah.
It actually rained on the dance floor.
Yeah, I've walked into a room.
Rained on an inside dance floor, mate.
I've walked into a room as a paramedic, and they've had someone that was actually coming down off of methamphetamine. Okay. And very, very nasty bit of work. And you stepped into that room, and the whole room went absolutely ice cold. And he had what they call the 1,000-yard stare, which means he was after blood. And I was like, see you later, we're out of here. Boom, gone. And wow. And go and let the police deal with him. Because, I wasn't about to put my life on the line for that. No way.
No, not at all. Not at all, mate. Not at all. I wouldn't. It's because I've had several entity attacks in the last 7 weeks since I've been offline, and actually had a big one. You both know that I had to take care of, but all in good jest. But in such like the unseen ones, like the unseen attacks, and how they just literally like they put you in a state of mind and frequency that you normally wouldn't operate in, and like all of a sudden you're operating in it, and you have to pull yourself up, especially because we are and doing what we do. You know what I mean? We have to be very mindful of ourselves most of the time because of this stuff that's constantly coming, constantly attacking, and like most of the time, 9/10 of the time, I'm a very high person. I love living life. I'm very energetic, and I have a smile on my face most of the time. But there are moments where I do get a little bit down about things, like things that's going on with my daughter, because I miss my daughter very much. Just because of what's going on in the world. But this is when they choose to attack.
Yes.
When you're at your lowest, and they draw off that energy so much so that I found myself actually, not doing too good at one stage a few weeks ago because I was missing her so much. But that's what I mean. They choose you at your lowest point to draw on that energy and to keep you in lockstep so that you don't get out of it, because that's what they need you for. They actually need us for this energy, because most of the time these things can't even survive without it.
Most definitely.
So yeah, I've had quite a few of those in the last few weeks. Now, it didn't make me feel too good, I'll tell you that much. But I mean, at the same time, once you become mindful of the fact that you are doing it, and you actually stop yourself in your tracks, and actually, well, for starters, do a clearing. That's one of the biggest things I had to do straight away, is clearing. The negative space leave. Yeah, you have to just do the clearing. And as much as people don't believe in it, please, you have to, because, like, for example, a large sage stick, everyone. If you get a large sage stick, it's like battery acid in their face. They can't stand it. There you go, people. Jamie, thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what we're talking about.
And another real trick too, folks. Never ever go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Because the angry energy will stay in your bed.
Yes.
Until it is cleared. So
exactly.
always go to bed happy.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
and I can feel all the spirits, and I'm still trying to decipher exactly which ones I can sense or whatnot, because some of them are pretty sneaky and pretty tricky. But for the most part, it's just feeling through the energies and stuff, because I can actually feel it. And whether they believe it or not, it's happening to them all the time. Just because they can't sense or feel it don't mean nothing's going on. It means there's more going on than they think there is.
That's right. That's right. It's just a matter of them also tapping into those senses as well. The more they raise their vibration and frequency over this time, not being lockstep into the down sort of negative aspect of what's going on around us right now. Because I mean, really, to me, like, I don't pay attention to anything that's going on. I don't watch anything anymore, really, unless it's really of interest. It's galactic news going on. I don't watch anything that's negative at all whatsoever. I've dropped that. And so it gives them very limited amount of space or cracks to creep in, so to speak. But every now and again they do. But the fact that I remain in a high vibration frequency most of the time because of how I act, treat, speak, and interact with others and what I watch, doesn't give them much room to move. But like you have to feel these things, and you actually need to know that they do exist. And people, if they do come along, learn to recognize these things and raise your vibration frequency by not being in such a low lockstep key of watching this negative shit. Whether it be the deep state crap that's coming out online, or whether it just be general negative crap on TV, if you like that sort of thing. I don't even watch mainstream TV anymore. But that's the thing. It's about how you interact, what you watch, what you do, how you speak, how you act, how you treat. All of these things are all a part of raising your vibration and frequency. And if you want to change the world, the first thing you have to do is change yourself. You can't change the world without changing yourself, right? That's one of the biggest things. A lot of people I find these days that are saying they're awake, and I'm not trying to give anyone shit here either. A lot of people that do say that they're awake fail to recognize that, and that's where I see the difference between woke and awake. And that's not trying to be disrespectful towards anyone either out there. So please don't misconstrue what I'm trying to say, anyone, if you do see this back later. But there is a big, clear difference. There are these people that are clearly on a spiritual path that is leading them to a destination, like myself, Bob, yourself, and so many other thousands of others that are clearly out there doing the do, speaking truth, speaking from their heart space, speaking from their experiences. And then you've got the ones that that are still contributing. I mean, we're all contributors and co-contributors to the greater whole of the picture, so that everyone can get a greater idea of what's going on. But to sit there and wait, like, I met this lady that was on Facebook, very well informed, very knowledgeable, very amazing. But do you think she'd want to share any of that information with anyone online?
Mm.
No. That's what I mean. Like, she claimed to be a very spiritual individual and was doing a lot of spiritual work, but it's the act as such. It's to do, not as Yoda said. No, try not. Do or do not. There is no
Yeah.
try.
There's a difference between knowing and actually doing it.
That's correct. Absolutely.
You have to do both because, well, and fascinating enough, what I've just learned through discernment and a lot of energy work is the fact that some entities even create pain because they feed off the energy you create trying to heal yourself, because everything gives off energy. Your healing gives off energy. Your body's always trying to heal itself from something.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've actually had a moment like that myself where, out of the blue, just something that I hadn't thought of in maybe 30 years or something that caused me a little bit of pain back then, like something that really upset me, would just come entering out of the blue. And I mean, I know I've healed that because I've addressed it. But all of a sudden, that would enter my mind. And as much as I may have addressed it, it still, it gives you that little trigger, like, as much as you still have addressed it and fixed it and actually worked through it, you still get that initial slight emotion that's there. And just that one little emotion, that slight little peep of it, is enough. They all they need to get through that crack and actually feed off that energy. That's all they need. And I've had that happen.
Hey, Chris, I'm really sorry to butt in, mate. I've got a personal emergency I need to deal with. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you and the listeners.
Okay. No worries, Bob.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah.
Hey, no problem, buddy.
All right.
Hey, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you both later on. Okay,
mate. No worries. I hope everything's all right for you. I hope everything's all right for you, mate.
Righty. Bye.
Bye, buddy. Love you. Take care, mate. Thanks for being here with us. Yeah, Jamie. Wow. Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. Exactly right. They feed off this stuff in such a way just from just going through a small crack. That's all they need, and they'll create that actual moment, like you said, whether it be a memory that they pull out of you, that even though you've dealt with it, they'll throw that at you and they'll use it against you just so that they can draw off that energy. And it's the most, really, I mean, it's just a low act. I mean, you got to expect that from someone who's 3 foot lower than a sea. I won't say the word online.
Yeah. Well, I thought that, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical person, but working with the energies and stuff, just think about it first. Use like a cleanse yourself. I use cleansing frequencies. Just remove that entity presence. There's frequencies that help remove entities also, and through meditation and all sorts. Just try that first before going.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was going to say, actually, while we're actually speaking so much about this subject right now, I was going to say, could you actually tell us more, or tell the audience a little bit more about yourself? Because I know this is actually just a preliminary what they call reboot show before our actual official reboot show next week on Saturday night. So we're doing 2 nights in a row next week, everyone, Friday and Saturday. So Jamie will be joining us then as well. So, yeah, if you could just tell us a little bit more about where this all started for you, Jamie, and like how you got into doing what you're doing, and how did you discover that you were able to interpret these energies and, read cards the way that you do so accurately. Because, I mean, you've done readings for me that were so on par, like it's left my jaw on the ground.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
I know. It was an amazing gift I unlocked. It's incredible. And the fact that I have such amazing guides, that guides work through everything. It's just a matter of being open-minded and paying attention and seeing it. The little things actually do matter more than you think.
They do, yeah. The old saying, I never did mind about the little things, so to speak, always is such a wrong, backward statement. The little things are what matter most, really, at the end of the day. Absolutely. So where did this all start for you, Jamie? Like, did you discover this as a child? Like, I know that you're a high vibration child. We've had a good conversation about that. But, like, did you find along the way through your journey, like as a child, that you were able to have certain gifts that you found along the way? Was there anything that specifically pointed out that was going to point you into this direction later on in life? Anything pertinent that actually stood out back then?
Well, after being more awake to it and learning about it, yeah, then I'll go back to it's like synchronicities that you connect later and realize you knew that as a child. You kind of knew things as a child, and just that how adults, not necessarily their fault either. It's through the programming, through the government system to hold you back all the time to stop you from knowing who you are.
Yes. Yeah.
Is I thought back when I was 8 years old, I was fascinated with angels, and I even asked my mom, "Am I an angel?" And she goes, "No way! There's absolutely no way whatsoever." And you know how kids with their imagination, they just know something.
For her to cut you down just like that, like to not to
Yep.
support your. Oh my gosh, that's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was cut off from ever thinking that. And then
Oh,
I went through an angel phase because I work with angel, unicorn, and dragon energy, and at 14, I was researching unicorns, believe it or not, looking up everything about unicorns out of nowhere.
wow.
Yeah, and dragons also. Recently, I've been looking that up a lot more. So it's like synchronicities of so many things that you don't realize until
At the
you're
time.
fully aware, and then you go,
Yeah.
"Whoa, that's why I did that, and that's why I did that."
Yeah.
And why some of your dreams, you have dreams. Apparently I do have premonition dreams, but I don't understand any of it.
Yeah. I still try to interpret my dreams. I've actually got up there on my bookshelf a book that actually interprets dreams, but I don't know how accurate it is. I've never really read it. I've never really read. There's quite a few books that are up there that I haven't read yet. They're
Yeah,
on the bookshelf back there. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, there's all even through dreams. There's just something about them that try to show you who you are too, and bits and pieces of your past lives, and
Yeah.
connect who you are through a lot of different things. And it's just a matter of remembering it and paying attention and go and noticing odd things that maybe not necessarily odd, but meant to be there to show you something.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Because yeah, there's always a lesson to be learnt within it every time. Absolutely. I was going to ask you, what age was it that you actually started picking up the cards and actually started reading for others?
I actually didn't start doing that until literally 2 years ago.
So you've advanced that quickly and to be that accurate in 2 years? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
2 years? Wow, man. Because I've got to say, everyone, if you want a reading, seriously, drop your comments, drop your actual questions in the comments box right now. We'll check them out. We'll get Jamie to do a reading for you on the show right now because that's exactly what I said I was going to do. Yeah, Jamie is that
And
accurate. She's actually had my jaw on the floor with my own reading one, sitting there going, "Oh my god, are you joking? Like that's exactly what I'm going through right now, and this is exactly what
mhm.
I know I need to do." And the cards just said it. Like, can you be any more accurate and in my face and kick me with a bloody golf shoe? You know, like that's how I felt. I felt like I'd just been kicked in the face with a golf shoe.
Yeah,
You know, it's so accurate. So if any of
and
you want one,
yeah.
drop your questions in the comments box and post a comment, and we'll actually get Jamie at some stage of the show right now to do reading for you. What cards would we be using today, Jamie, if you actually did one?
Well, I got an angel deck out handy, and I actually have my unique unicorn deck. I work with the unicorn energy a lot. It's such a happy-go-lucky, fun, goofy energy. And then see all
Awesome.
the unique cards.
Oh, they're beautiful artwork, eh? I mean, you got to understand, people, the amount of time, energy, and love that goes into any one of these, like any pack and deck of tarot cards that you see, and the artwork is there, is actually done by each and every individual artist. So you can imagine the amount of time and hours that go into these things when you actually study the cards. You look at them and you think to yourself, my gosh, these guys really, really made these cards with a lot of love. I mean, the time, the effort, the thought, the creativeness that goes into them is just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's ever got a chance to have a look at cards, people really have a good look because the energy that's put through to these cards speaks for itself just in the pictures alone. It's made with love, and they're actually channeling to a degree through their actual co-creativity
Mm-hmm.
things that are otherworldly, you know,
Yeah.
outside of our known realms. You agree with that, Jamie?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I even did a reading once for an infant, and I didn't realize the hardships behind it. And the reading was hard because I was crying because I literally channeled their pain, and I channeled all the pain behind it because it was a really rough transition.
Yeah, wow.
So
Jeez, mate.
certain energies just click. So uh, I'd prefer not to do a baby reading again, but if
Yeah.
they want, I'll give it a go again. But it was rough because I do legit channel because I'm an empath. All their
Yes.
energy while I'm reading. It's like a healing thing. It's like I'm taking in their pain to help them heal through theirs.
That's exactly what an empath does sometimes, mate. Yeah, we take their
Hmm.
pain in order to promote healing within the other. Absolutely. We take that pain away sometimes. No, that's beautiful, Jamie. Wow.
And
So,
yeah, I noticed to do that with my readings because there's an extra energy to it that I've been feeling through it more, and I've noticed that's what I've been getting.
yeah. So when did you actually start to awaken to what's going on around the world, like with the heinousness of everything and how much we've been lied to? When did that become more apparent to you in the last? Was that something that's actually been that you learnt about over a period of a long period of years, or is this something that only came about with everyone recently as well in the last couple of years with what's been going on?
Well, I honestly had kind of an idea when I'd had odd occurrences a couple times. Like I had an occurrence I actually faced off with a dark entity or demon within a person.
Right, right.
So
So
so so and the weird thing is when you're not fully aware of it, to me it was just like some everyday thing that I do all the time, and it was no big deal.
yeah, yeah. Well,
And
that's the thing to fight them off.
it's almost like you're temporarily turned on for like a mission or something that I don't know, kind of hard to
Hmm.
explain. But and then the it really hit me was basically 2020 when everybody was stuck at home, removed from their busy day,
Yeah,
and forced to pay attention to more things.
yeah, yeah. So that's
I,
when initially your true burst of awakening really happened, but you'd been aware of it for many years of things that just didn't fit quite right up until that moment in 2020, and that's when it became more apparent for you.
yeah,
Right.
and it was like a
So
light switch flipped on, and it kept on continuously going. It was like a veil lifting through a cleansing process.
a veil lifting, exactly. Couldn't have said it any more perfectly. The veil shall be lifted. And that veil of lack of consciousness and being consciously aware had what become apparent to you in 2020 when everyone was going through all this as well. So did you pick up the cards at that point in time and actually start working with energies then? Or was
Oh,
it, I mean, I know you've been working with energies quite a lot throughout your life and stuff like that, but like, was it more so pertinent as a mission? Did you feel that it was a calling back around about 2020, 2021 when you started picking up the cards? Did you feel it was more of a calling and a mission to you that this is
yeah.
what you were meant to be?
Well, I occasionally worked with them and stuff. I actually wasn't real serious until about a year ago, maybe
Wow.
even earlier. Yeah, because I kept getting messages. I know people are gonna call me silly, but seriously, I had actual messages through devices just telling me things through other actual tarot readings that don't give up on because I'd be the best oracle ever. And they were, and
Right.
oddly enough, it was right. I'm actually very, very good at it. I'm just like,
You
wow.
are. You are actually, and I'll vouch for that, everyone. Yeah, she's amazing, truly
So,
accurate. Like I've had many in my time, and none of them were really as accurate as Jamie. And I mean, for someone who's only just really been doing this the last year and a bit, really, she's obviously working with energies and part of her higher self that's, or even not only that, part of her ancient past as well. You've got to think of that past, present, and future all
hmm
coexist at once. So, I mean, Jamie is really actually working with her higher self and her past self right now to be able to do what she's doing and to be so accurate as she is. Because, I mean, yeah, as I said, I've never seen anyone so accurate before. Never.
yeah.
Janine Morjo of Tarot by Janine is probably the only other one that I would really trust outside of you, Jamie. that's saying something, mate. Or then again, someone like Tamara from Australia, in South Australia, I love Tamara. If anyone gets to see Tamara, I highly recommend watching her. She's if you actually get a chance, I'll even send you a link of Tamara's, Jamie, so you can just see her, because you two would actually have a lot in common. I'd love to actually get Tamara on the show in the future and see how you two get on, because I know that you kick it off just like that, mate. Absolutely, you're so on the level.
Mm-hmm. I know, and I know it sounds kind of silly, but I almost want to have like a spiritual gift, tarot reading gift class or teaching. I'm not really sure how to word it right, but it's almost like a lot of them still need help with their gifts and learning what they can really do. And man, I could definitely say I did a lot of hard, serious crystal frequency training. Basically what it was, cleansing and removing blockages, unlocking a lot of my gifts myself through all that. I was all self-taught and feeling through it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because not many people can really do it by themselves. They do require sometimes some form of outside intervention or help of some sort. But for one to do it so by themselves shows the internal strength that you hold and the light that is there. Like that really speaks a lot in volumes. Like to be able to do it by yourself, like so many others. Even myself, like I did a bout of rehab. I checked myself in 18 years ago. I wanted my life to be mine again. I wanted to be ruled by myself. I didn't want to be ruled by a drug. I wanted to have my mind, my body, my spirit, my sense of self back. As much as I got intervention from rehab, I had to do the work. I had to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of how much you want your life back and how much you want to live. And I mean, even when I was in rehab, I had no knowledge of this stuff 18 years ago, what I do now. None whatsoever. I had a near-death experience when I was 14, and I had some other experiences along the way, but I had no knowledge, no fundamental understanding of energy, no understanding of how it can be transferred, no understanding of multidimensionalism, quantum mechanics, anything like that. I learned only this in the last 12 years, especially. But to have these experiences that I had at rehab at the time, I dealt with shadow beings moving across my walls and actually disappearing under the actual door, and you can see the light under the door get blacked out until the actual entity moved through. That's when you know there is something really in your room you don't want there. And trust me, I mean, one of them stood up at the end of my bed one night, and I can tell you now, when I screamed out, "Leave now in the name of Christ, leave now in the name of God, my creator of all things in heaven and earth and all multi-dimensions, leave, you have no consent." This thing dropped into a pool on the floor. It dropped into a puddle, and the puddle just disappeared. I was just like, whoa. So I got up out of my bed, I looked at this thing, and I went around the end of my bed. And I mean, it looked black, like black goo that you get in the X-Files. Okay, it looked like that, but in a human form. Yeah, it was standing there, and this thing just left, and it dropped into a puddle on the floor, like Michael Jackson's "Remember the Time" when he stepped, and dropped down into the bloody robe, like that, mate. I shit you not.
I bet you told off something that had to do with the black goo frequency, doing with the black goo. I bet you told off an entity that was either corrupted by it or trying to corrupt you with it.
Trying to probably re-corrupt me, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was very weak at that point in time. I was actually considering leaving there because the entities, the forces of the dark were attacking me quite a lot. And all I could think of back then was a way to relieve myself. And the only way I knew how to relieve myself, because I'd never learnt anything else, unfortunately, at that time, was drugs. So I wanted to leave. I wanted to go have a bloody hit. But I chose to stay, and I chose to actually use what these guys were fundamentally teaching me there, and to stand in my power, speak in my truth, stand in my heart space and speak it, and not be afraid, show no fear. I mean, these things, everyone, when you understand that these principalities of darkness that are all around us, that are mentioned in so many different ancient texts, okay, from everywhere around the world, right up until the new Judeo-Christian Bible, these things are mentioned as well. You need to understand that these things are around, and when you have an understanding of how these are and how they work and how they operate and how you yourself can actually take care of them, they hold no power. Really, at the end of the day, they need our consent to have power.
Exactly. When you remove the illusions and see through the illusions and you call them out, and I still occasionally say, I take back my power. I do not give my permission to no one to touch my power.
Absolutely.
we're all 10 times stronger than they will let us ever believe, and that's the and you can tell if people uses they claim they use logic behind all their stuff, but then why don't they see the logic behind a constant brainwashing going on, so we don't realize we're stronger than them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just a matter of practice makes perfect, everyone, and the more you practice it, the more you actually do these things. On, it's unfortunate, but if you're highly compromised in frequency and very low in vibration, these attacks will happen on a very much a regular basis. But the more that you raise your vibration frequency, these things cannot stand to be around you. They cannot stand to be around any of us because the way that we operate is like battery acid to them being around us. They cannot stand. It's like using the words Jesus Christ and Creator all in the one sentence. They fear it. It's like, they'll hiss at it, and they'll run to the hills. They can't stand it. So it's only by our power of authority that we can take this back. And by giving them the consent, you're basically allowing yourselves to be violated on every level, whether it be conscious, physical, spiritual. It does not matter. They don't care. They will violate you if they have the opportunity to actually, and I'll be honest, if they have the opportunity to become physical and actually try to do something to us physically in the sense of rape or actually murder us or bash us, they would. They would do it because they get off on this stuff. That's how they operate. That's how they live off that energy. Anything that's negative or the lower fourth dimension. So it's just just be aware, people, that you need to do these cleansings. You need to actually learn to bring yourselves up in vibration and frequency. Your mindset, how you act, speak, treat, and towards others, because only by being of service to others and working on yourself and doing these clearings and stuff can you only be of better help to the world. Because you can't be of help to the world if you can't even heal yourself.
Well, so, and I almost want to say, if you don't want to unlock something you don't want to sense and feel, but at the same time, I think we're going to be forced. I'm starting to think people are going to be forced to feel what they don't want to anyway, because it just seems like the earth itself is already climbing into a higher frequency to get us out of this.
Very much. Yeah, she's evolving. Absolutely.
She's wanting to evolve, not de-evolve, which was what a lot of us, I think, sadly, we're headed towards. It's like we had to just jolt and pull people out of it. So I think it's going to get a lot rougher and a lot harder on some people that refuse to see things.
Unfortunately, that is unfortunately the way. Yeah, that will be the way, unless they actually start doing the inner work now and facing their fears, and they do some shadow work and actually start working on themselves and their past traumas. That is going to be a very hard job to actually take this bitter red pill, so to speak, when this all comes out. I call it the suppository. It's basically it's going to be an anal shafting for them. Look, really, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be rude about it, but I mean, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, and it's going to feel like they just got it straight up the backside. Someone kicked them in the bum. That's what it's going to feel like. And I feel sorry for them. I really do.
Yeah. And basically, it's like a cleansing process. You have to remove it's like you're cleansing through and transmuting everything into a positive, or everything negative that's ever happened to you. It's a way to try to crack you open to allow more light in.
Yep. Transmute's the key word there. Absolutely. Yeah. Transmuting one negative polarity to a positive polarity.
Because the more and more I started sensing the energies, and I kept feeling the more negative side, the more I would just use a constant cleansing frequency too every day, and I would sage my house and sage myself, and I just worked through this constant process of transmuting it faster with crystals for tools helped a lot, and between the crystal tools frequency, I was able to remove all them blockages and work through it, because I did go through a lot. It was a rough year. It was really rough.
Wow. Yeah, it can be like that. And I just hope, look, I'll actually say it right now to anyone that's out there that gets to watch this back later on as they work through themselves, that I actually hope that you have worked through it all and that you do get through it all and actually raise your vibration frequency, because really, at the end of the day, where we're all heading is a very wonderful, awesome destination. And I'm not saying we're going anywhere, but what is about to happen to this planet is truly wondrous for the first time in hundreds of thousands of years, if you really know our true history. And what is about to come, what was promised, that was even channeled through a very reliable source. Dr. Edgar Casey back in the 1960s had a set of women that actually had channeled quite a lot of information. And one of those bits of information was about the golden age that is upon us, and that the golden ones, or the shining ones, shall return. Now, I won't go right into that now. I'll actually save that for another day, for another show. But really, at the end of the day, that says a lot as to where we're going as a species, as a civilization, as humanity. As such, we are meant for far more, and we unfortunately have been suppressed and put into depression for too long. And, well, those ones that are here for that golden age, that are the shining ones, well, they're here to kick some ass, and they're here to liberate to a degree certain aspects, but we have to do a majority of the work ourselves. They can't do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
But they are here nonetheless, and they are back. And I sincerely hope that everyone makes it, because really, at the end of the day, no man, woman, or child should be left behind. They shouldn't be. So really, at the end of the day, really, what happened with all the up here in the last 2 years, they're innocents. They're all innocents. And there's something that my friend Cheryl was pointing out to me today. Thank you, Cheryl, too. Bless you if you're watching, Dale. Cheryl pointed out to me, because I struggle sometimes with a little bit of compassion because I'm so hard, because of the way I was brought up. I do have a lot of compassion and empathy for a lot of things and a lot of stuff going on. But she actually helped me see today a little bit more in the sense of how I can go about my compassion a little bit better, and how I can conduct myself with it and give that out there. Now, she had me have an understanding today, and helped me have an understanding, is that there are some that have been coerced. There are some that had no choice, and really, I have a lot of empathy for them. But for the ones that were just generally just being like sheep, running through the gates and actually lining up, ready to roll up their sleeve, I was struggling with finding compassion for them. And really, she helped me find that, and that's why I put that statement out now, because it's something that I've thought about very much for the last few hours since she spoke to me, leading up to where we are now with the show, and just thinking on that, which is a form of meditation, thinking about it and actually drawing upon from myself, how would I feel if I was in their place?
Mm-hmm.
Putting myself in their situation, how would I be? Would I hope that someone would show me compassion, empathy, understanding, ask me, how did this happen? Hear my voice, hear my story? Oh gosh, yeah, I'd want that. So that's how I found today, out of all the days that I've struggled with this, I found that sense of compassion for them, like I would with those that have been coerced and not been given a choice. I now have a lot more compassion and empathy for those, whereas I didn't have it. I was struggling with it, because I thought to myself, well, if you're a sheep and you've basically been asleep and you haven't really well, I don't like using that word sheep, sorry people, but if you've been asleep and not really watched or learned or understood what's going on around you because of materialism, consumerism, money, power, blah, 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 whatever your bag is, I thought to myself, well, that's your problem. You got duped. I was sitting there thinking to myself for a long time, that's their problem, not mine. My problem is that I need to worry about myself and be of service to others, but that's where I was going wrong. How can I be of service to them if I'm going to sit there and sway them off to the wayside? I can't.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You have to accept the two. The fact that I should, if I was going to be in their position, I'd want to be heard. And secondly, what I just mentioned. So that's what helped me actually find that deeper dive inside myself today, to find that compassion and empathy for them. And I tell you now, regardless of how I've been treated by my own family, even I'll be very compassionate towards them as well. They're still pointing fingers at me. They're pointing fingers, but for every pointing finger, you got 3 pointing back. So really, at the end of the day, they can't blame me for whatever it is they've done. But what I can do is at least try and help them, now that I have this new profound understanding of compassion and empathy. Because, without Cheryl today, I would actually still be struggling for that. So if you're watching, Cheryl, thank you. Much blessings to you, love. Now, I was going to ask, would you like to do a reading as such, Jamie? Would you like to do a reading maybe for the actual plan? Because we've got no questions that have come in yet. I think we've only got 3 watching at the moment, actually, and that's okay. But this gets watched back later on anyway. But I was going to say, seeing as we've got no questions as such in the comments box so far, would you like to maybe do a reading for the planet, for our mother right now, and see how our mother is actually doing right now with everything that's going on her surface and underneath and above, and with the energies, how's she coping?
Yeah.
Because I believe that she's definitely going through an evolutionary stage herself, and is I feel that she definitely needs someone to speak on her behalf. Oh, love your shirt! Isn't that awesome?
Butterfly.
Oh, I love it.
Renew,
Wow.
rebirth.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm going to have to start wearing some more of my shirts too, like that. Eh? As it goes on to winter, I've got a Himalayan yak jacket with full hood, and it's just all like hippie, like you would not believe. So I'll be wearing that on the show as it goes into winter.
All right, I'm gonna get a couple simple. Actually, I learned from the get-go to go ahead. I might as well focus on that question you just said already, because as soon as I start shuffling, sometimes they go whoosh and fly out.
Cards fly out. That's when you know there's answers flying at you.
Yep. Oh, and I learned a lot of. I learned a hard lesson today too. Woo! That's
Okay.
all right. All
You
right.
want to share it with us, or is it not the sort of thing you want to share today?
Well, I'll share after the reading. I don't want to get the energy mixed in with the reading and try to give myself a reading.
For sure. No worries.
Oh, but there we go. There goes a card. All right. Something we all need to learn, work on. A message from the universe to the world. Message to the universe to the world. Woo. Ah. I just like to repeat it to keep focus, because my focus is like, because I have things talking to me all the time. Well,
it's like a mantra.
Yeah. Because I didn't even realize what I do. It took such a long time to figure it out, because I actually subconsciously hear spirits talk to me all the time, and I can actually kind of like hear them talk. And that's why I'll zone out and space out sometimes too. It's like I'll suddenly tune in and listen. I don't mean to.
I notice that sometimes on camera when we're talking on the phone.
Yes, something's talking to me while you're talking, and I'm just like,
that's awesome, mate. That's what I mean about the friendship there. You know what I mean? Like, we understand each other enough, everyone, to know enough about each other that we know when I know when Jamie's deep in thought, or when she's actually in communication with something, and I just sit back and wait for it, you know, because I know that she just comes back with whatever it was that was being spoken to or speaking to her. She just comes out with it straight away, and I'm like, shit, that was left field. But it's right on the money, button every time.
All right, I'll show the cards too as I read them, and I do read the full definition, because there's a deep meaning behind each definition. I'll add while I read it too, if I pick up on something else.
Okay.
All right, so we have purity.
Wow. Beautiful. Purity, did you say? Purity? Yep. Wow.
Purity, not a dragon. So this is like a unicorn dragon.
Yep.
Just
remember, people, not all dragons are bad either. Not all Draco are bad. There are good reptilians out there. So don't ever put a label on them.
A figure appears before you. Is it a lizard, a bearded dragon? No, it's something more. The dragon unicorn metamorphosizes and appears before your very eyes, pure white like snow, mythic, and filling you with wonder. It is a hearkening back to the days of dinosaur consciousness on the earth plane in the purest form. Back before the dawn of humankind, echoing to the very core of our being and consciousness, purity joined by the spirit of the butterfly. In constant renewal and transformation, behold the dragon unicorn.
Wow.
Gently take hold of the wings of the dragon unicorn and allow her to lead you across the sky, far and wide. Feel her scales in your hands and see the clouds as they float by. Allow the moment to transform on the wings of a butterfly. Ask the dragon unicorn to show you the essence and purest form of your higher self. And you think to yourself, I'm in my purest form. I'm a mystery within a mystery. I celebrate my incredible nature. Try, try meditation. Pose invites us to lay on our bellies and breathe in deeply, rising upward like a snake and tapping into our inner dragon. Take a few moments to research Cobra Pro pose, engaging in some deep and pure dragon breaths to release and relax and let everything flow.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Wow.
So we're all being reminded of our transformations are a constant thing.
Yep. We're all going through it right now and always constantly going through it.
And then we have this one. This one's funny. It cracks me up. It says,
Oh, wow.
"Not a demon, just desire." This
Right.
is telling you to treat yourself and don't forget to take care of yourself and have fun. And oh, he's so dreamy, what a beautiful man, and the eternal mischief maker and lover, the elven royalty Pan. Desire there is more than just horns and amored in love's embrace. See how the beauty of the unicorn of Pan in every lover's face. And through our desire we find a door from lust to love and so much more. A portal, a key to the great beyond. Dive into your deepest desires, what turns you on. What do you want from life instead of following the path of norm? Fully embrace your wants and needs. Let the
Wow.
let the unicorn of Pan take you by the hand, enjoy the good life in his arms, and then you think to yourself, I dive headfirst into my desires and live a good life. It's time to have more than a little fun. Do something for yourself, go shopping, take that vacation, get your nails done. Haven't you always wanted to get a massage? Enjoy the finer things in life. Ask and you shall receive.
Wow.
Nice card. I know it starts off kind of quirky and a little corny at first, and then it gets to a good reminding us
Beautifully.
to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Self care, self love. Absolutely. That is the
Mhm.
actual message there. Self love is key right now. Absolutely. And taking care of oneself.
Yeah. Oh, and then we have wisdom.
Ah, the owl unicorn. Yes.
Yep.
I remember you showing me that once. Wow.
The world is being reminded that the call of the owl invokes a great question. That is the key to all wisdom. Who? Who who are you? As you meditate on the sound traversing the path in the darkness of night, with your way lit only by moon, suddenly a great form swoops before you, in the gust of wind and a mighty force. You jump back as you realize in this fable, unicorn owl. Flying along the wings of the unicorn owl and see through her eyes in the darkness she sees all. And 360 degrees in a circle with no limitation. Allow your gaze to expand as you can scan the horizon in search of wisdom. What do you see? Breathe deeply, expand your knowledge. And you think to yourself, I'm the embodiment of wisdom. I know who I am. Mirror work is so important. Take some time to gaze in the mirror as you echo the call of the unicorn owl. And
Wow.
ask yourself, who? Look deep into your own eyes, searching for answers. You are wiser and stronger than you know. And I was just telling everybody that.
Wow. I just got a little shake on my right side from my little acknowledgement that I get. And it's funny that you said be wise. I was just talking to John Yost the other day, and I made a statement that just in regards to just something that I felt and intuitively interpreted, and something that I go by in my life. And John said a very profound statement to me, and I've never heard it said to me before, and it actually was quite humbling. It didn't take me back as such; it just was very humbling at the moment. I just said straight away, "Thank you." But he said to me, "Chris, for you to understand and have that knowledge as you do, that is very wise to know that. Not many people," he said, "I've found along in this on this journey have actually understood that And he goes, that's very wise that you do. And he goes, you should be very proud of yourself to know that you have that understanding. Be humbled by it. And I was like, yeah, I am actually. Thank you, John. Thank you. And it was just talking about, the quantum, such, but it was just what I said and how I said it and how I put it together, how he gave me that one little statement that really profoundly lifted me up, saying that I was wise for having knowledge of that and knowing that I act in that way as well. Just really gave me that sense of upliftment. And I'm actually, even if John gets to see us, thank you, John, for such a beautiful, humbling statement the other day, mate. Thank you. So what card have we got next?
Well, I'm personally going to pull out 2 for that gives a great explanation and a direct message about something. So I got those 2 cards aside. I'm going to finish reading one that was important. And that's another thing when I'm reading, sometimes I'll shuffle and a handful of cards fall out. And I'll read all of them to whoever it's for because they were meant to hear that. I don't skip it. I make sure. Unless it's half the deck, then it's Huh?
I was going to say, I hope for nothing less, actually, because if that happens, we've actually got actual people in the audience asking questions and you've got cards jumping out, mate, go for it. Take as long as you need during your segment, because it'll be your segment of the show where you get to shine. So if it means it takes half an hour to an hour to even get those card readings out because 5 or 6 cards have jumped out on top of what you've actually pulled, they're meant to hear whatever it is. So you take that time. This is a platform for you as much as me and Bob as well, mate. So you just take that for you. Absolutely. I expect nothing less of you.
That's awesome. So sometimes, well, obviously, unless it's half the deck, then that's a mistake.
Yeah. That's a fumble.
All right. Oh, I gotta hold the card up. This one's neat.
Yes, I remember that card. I remember you having that card in my reading.
Yep. Clarity, not a street lamp. The night is dark, the path is long, hope is gone and all is gray. But what's this? Suddenly bursting forth is light to lead the way. A simple lamppost illuminates the path. Some walk by it without a glance. But it is light, a miracle pure and clean, enriching the path that all can see. In this realization, the transformation occurs. The illuminated unicorn is beaming forth, hard at work. And you think to yourself, reflects on the boundless nature of light and the way it travels and enriches a space. Even in the simplest lamppost is a unicorn in its own way. Visit the illuminated unicorn and see the nature of light, the eternal being. I am light, I shine. You can even play a little game of lights on and off. Break into groups and start playing. Running for switches and lamps and shouting, stop them. The entire house becomes a playground full of laughter. Which team are you on?
Team Light.
I thought that was cute. They added a little game to it to help you.
Yeah. I was actually imagining myself doing it while you're speaking. And I was thought to myself, how much would that really bring the actual vibration and frequency up in the house if you were to do that with your children? Actually, as adults, being in that childlike mindset and actually embracing that childlike fun. You know what I mean? It really would raise your vibration and frequency, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. I have to share, this card is the strongest card in my deck, along with another one. It's the strongest card. So I wanted to share this message. It's the unicorn flower.
Oh, lovely. I remember that card. I remember you showing me. Yeah, beautiful flower. Beautiful card, the way it's just designed, the artwork, everything. Colors. Yeah, so soft.
I'll try not to cry. Sometimes I cry when I read it.
Oh, don't you make me cry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. And I just feel it through my core, man.
We'll cry together, my friend.
All right, vulnerability, not a flower. You arrive in the spring meadow with color bursting forth from the ground, but look more closely at this tiny shriveling blossom, for it's no small feat. It's a miracle of rejuvenation, new life, through delicate and vulnerable. Opening its petals one by one to see the sun, gaze upon the face of the magical unicorn flower, a rare blossom indeed. Imagine you're a tiny bee visiting the unicorn flower, pollinate and rejuvenate. The entire world depends on you through small and vulnerable. Feel the power that lies within. And think to yourself, there is strength and vulnerability. There is great power in the smallest of things. Enjoy the beauty and grace of some flowers in the wilderness or your local florist. Enjoy the stunning yet frail balance of color, shape, and scent. The same power lies within you, oh dear one, all.
Well, you got a tear out of me, mate. I got a tear there. I got a tear there, eh? I can feel it. And I'm not kidding, people. Look, I got tears.
I know. You got to be reminded that even though some may find us small and vulnerable, we're more powerful than we seem.
That we are. That we are. And thank you for that strong reminder.
And here's my last one, and then we can get on to whatever you need to. Okay, it's perspective, not a seahorse. This, to me, this is another message we need to remember. Also, perspectives,
Perspectives, yes. Please enlighten us.
because I feel that's where all the fighting happens. Is the lack of perspective.
Yep.
Imagine a tiny seahorse floating along among bubbles and brine, corals of fish, a dream, a wish, an aquatic paradise, the beautiful ocean, the blue, the bright, the seaweed dancing in shafts of light, and inspiring and whimsical, uplifting and fun. But amid all this, look more closely, for a transformation has just begun. It's a tiny horn. A voice rings out amid the cool blue deep. If it's magic you seek, then look more closely. I'm not just any seahorse, but a seahorse unicorn. Feel yourself floating in the sea of vision with the seahorse unicorn. Ask the seahorse to show you new facets and perspectives in the situation in your life. Float along the waves and consider many angles. Many angles. And you think to yourself, my perspective is positive and bright, always seeking beauty in times of darkness and delight. Artwork can be interpreted so many ways, or movies. Take yourself to an art gallery and admire many paintings, sculptures, and works of art. Look closely, then look again. See how your perspective shapes your reality. Be mindful. See how perspectives shapes your reality.
Wow. Bless you, Jamie. That was awesome. I needed to hear that.
Because remember, every time you watch a movie, there's something different you didn't see before.
I've actually had a couple of those happen just recently. I was watching something the other day, and I was like, I never heard that before. Wow, there's a message in that. And I've been watching this movie for 30 years.
Yes.
And I'd never heard it before, and I was like, whoa, I've never heard that. There was a message there for me. The fact that I've obviously been farting around in the past where I've not heard it, where it's been playing in the background, and just this one time after 30 years, I hear them say this thing, and I was like, wow, that's profound. I've never heard that before, but that was the message I'd been missing from the movie all this time. 30 years I've been missing. I got the memo finally after 30 years.
Or maybe you weren't meant to catch it until now.
Maybe. That's another thing that I prospectively thought about at the time as well. It's like, was I meant to hear that back then? Or was that only meant to be heard now?
Yeah.
That conclusion as well.
Because I've been drawn to certain movies lately, and just after, being more spiritually awakened and more aware of other perceptions, it's like, boom, you hit a certain message that is just meant for you to understand, to add to your own knowledge and light you on fire.
Yeah, and it was right when you needed to hear it too.
Mm-hmm.
Right when you needed to hear it. That was the biggest blowout. It was like, that meant that there, right then, what I just heard, as much as I hadn't heard it for 30 years, that really resonates with how I'm feeling right now. Wow. Yeah, it just kind of leaves you walk away with it going, yeah, wow. Feeling so much better about how you were feeling before you heard that statement,
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things when you're meant to definitely hear it at that moment. That's how I put it down to, for sure.
Yeah. And what I was saying, my my message or my epiphany I had was also with perspectives too. I just finally seen something in a different light, in a different perspective. As much as I was made aware of a betrayal through messages, I still didn't quite click. And then boom, it hit me and I was betrayed. And of course it happened to be betrayed by the most unlikely person that I've never talked to in the longest time. It's like it was supposed to purposely meant to happen to do something. As
Wow.
upset as I was,
Wow.
yeah, as upset as I was, I realized it was to see something else.
Yeah. It was designed for that moment, absolutely. So that you could see, yeah. Yeah, I have moments like those too, and sometimes it can be a real kick in the nuts. They can be sometimes, but it's a little bit of a kick in the nuts that we need to actually be able to see at that point in time that we were missing that perspective of before. And I totally agree. It all just adds to the clarity and perspective of the overall picture.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, thank you for that reading. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that reading. And I was going to say, everyone that's in the audience, yeah, I mean, as much as there's only a couple of people watching at the moment, which is absolutely fine, please, if you get to watch this back later on, if you ever see Jamie in our list as actually one of our guests in the future, please remember, get your questions into the comments box straight away so that we can actually have a look at your questions and actually get you to have a live reading on the show. And Jamie is actually more than happy to do that. She's actually expressed that to us. So please just remember in the future, get your questions into the comments box before the show, and we can go through them and actually get out the best, 2 or 4, because depending on how long the readings go for, they can go long, they can go short. But getting those questions in, what's most important right now, especially for yourselves, because there's a message amongst everything for everyone. And it's just a matter of being able to open these and these to receive it.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially even the synchronicity of multiple numbers, like the 555. I saw 444 today and 555 twice.
Wow.
3 times actually. I was like, it was like forced to see the 444 and 555.
Yeah, angel numbers, angel wings. Yeah.
I'm so in tune and connected. I synchronize with everything lately. It's crazy. How many things are connected?
It shows that you're on the path.
Yeah.
It shows that you're on the path and doing the do. Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd never believe until you're more aware of it and realize everything is connected to everyone. And sometimes sometimes I even forget and I get a hard smack in the face of reality.
Hey, that's part and parcel of us being human. And we're all prone to the same laws of physics that everyone else is prone to, but just knowing that we are, to somewhat degree, what we are, we have the tools and abilities to work with it and work around it now, whereas before we didn't. You know what I mean? It's just having that understanding of who we are and what we are made of and what we truly hold inside. That's the biggest part. And once we understand and acknowledge what we actually have inside and how powerful we truly are, there's nothing that can really stop us. Nothing. No mindset, no physical feeling, no spiritual attack. Doesn't matter what it is, where it comes from, or who it is. We seem to have the tools and the understanding to be able to overcome these things now. The more that we work at ourselves and working at helping others, especially. That's one of the biggest things for me is helping others. Like I've dropped a $20 note and a $50 note onto someone's lap, just someone that's purely on the street that has nowhere to go. And I know that that's not probably the best thing I could have done. I could have probably offered them a bed, something like that. But also remembering in this day and age, you don't know exactly who you're bringing into your home. So giving them a fit, because this guy looked clearly not like a junkie, not like an alcoholic. This guy just seemed like he was down on his luck. And I handed him a $50 note and he was like, wow, like no one's done that for me before. Wow, mate, thank you. And I'm like, no.
And see, that's another negative narrative that I get upset about too, is how quick to judge people are. We were never meant to judge others at all. We were supposed to love them regardless, not be hateful and negative towards everyone. You have no idea who they are. I mean, So what if a lot of the homeless are drunk and druggies? That doesn't mean they're bad people. It means they're at a hard time and on a bad path is all. I mean,
And they need a
oh,
little bit of help, a
yeah,
listening ear, or someone just to help or care. That's all it takes. Yeah. Like
yeah.
I'm looking at what's going on in bloody California right now, like with this new drug that's going on, that's going out there. I think it's animal tranquilizer mixed with heroin and some other chemical, and it's actually turning these people into zombies, and they're burning them from the inside out, like literally turning them into flesh-eating disorders from the inside out. And
Ooh.
I looked at it and I was like, my gosh, I am so sad for these people. And I'd even be sadder if I was still part of it myself 18 years ago, right up to now. If I'd still kept on to that, that's probably where I'd be. I'd be on
Yeah.
Skid Row like them. So I'm thankful to Creator, thankful to myself, thankful to rehab and those that help me, and me helping myself to getting clean. You know what I mean? But I look at them and I wonder, like, my gosh, what has happened to be there now and where you are and what you're doing? I feel so sad for them,
Yeah.
because this drug really, it's killing people, and they're just leaving them die in the street to rot away. I mean, there's no dignity in death either anymore.
Oh, I know. It's
I've
terrible.
looked at Democrat states over there, and some of the Democrat states that are over there are just letting the dead rot in the streets. You know, not completely, but I mean, like, they're actually letting them die, leaving them there for at least God knows how many hours before paramedics come out and they actually fix them and take them away. You know, really, at the end of the day, if that sort of thing happened back in the 80s, you'd have a paramedic and an ambulance there within minutes, not an hour or 2 hours after the person dies. I mean, we've got stories here in Australia of people waiting up to 2 to 4 hours for an ambulance to turn up, and then sometimes waiting up to 8 hours for an actual bed at the hospital in the actual ambulance ramped. They're in the hospital ambulance ramp inside the ambulance still waiting for a bed for 4 to 8 hours before they get placed in a bed. That's how bad it is here.
Wow.
Yeah, mate. I mean, and the only reason for that is because they're not letting the unvaxxed, so to speak, workers, the unvaxxed workers, to come back in. If they let them all back in, hospital crisis over, shortage of staff over like that. It's just because they don't want the unvaxxed working with them. That's
wow.
You know, and the amount of bullshit and fear mongering, and I will say it, bullshit and fear mongering that they've put out here in Australia about that is absolutely so deplorable that if I had the opportunity to take care of it myself and them, I'd get rid of them in a heartbeat.
Well, and what they're doing is actually against the law. That's technically discrimination. They can't do that.
It is discrimination straight out. I mean, like you were just talking about how we don't learn. We're what is it you were saying before about hate? You're saying about how
we're never meant to judge anyone.
To be able to judge or whatever like that. What made me think as well when you were saying that we're not born racist.
Exactly.
Okay? We're not born to hate or born to judge, but we're taught that over time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen babies that are black and white, doesn't matter. They don't see race. They just see another child.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they don't hate each other. They don't judge one another. They don't look at each other saying, "You're a different color to me. I don't need to like you, or that's why I judge you." They just see someone else and they want to play. That innocence and that lack of judgmentalness is what we need to all work back towards. That childlike sense of self in a way that has non-judgment.
Uh-huh. And that's the frustrating part is sometimes I'll get hit with that message and I'll just get so frustrated at the point as to why we don't get help. First of all, because we got to learn to save ourselves. We have to learn to do all this. But at the same time, I understand that. But the human mind, the humanity itself has been hijacked. It's been it's programming so severe.
Absolutely.
Some people have to have help to get out.
Yeah.
Some people have to have help. You just can't sit there on your butts and go, "Oh, love and light." Yeah. Well, how is love and light helping you if you're not helping other people? Yes, you're supposed to love and light and help yourself, but at the same time, there's so many people falling apart and falling away. If you're strong enough and know your inner light and found yourself, then reach out and help somebody else unlock that.
Word. Absolutely. That is key right there. Absolutely. Being of service to others and putting someone else before you. Absolutely. That's a big key right now. Because that's where compassion and empathy truly come from and stem from, is actually removing yourself from the equation and seeing yourself in another. And when you recognize seeing yourself in another and actually acknowledge that, only then can we actually have a true understanding of compassion and empathy. Because if you want someone to treat you like that, then why not treat another? So, yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. Couldn't agree more with you, Jamie. Absolutely. And that's something that does frustrate me too. And I think that's something that frustrates a lot of people, even regardless if you're on the path or not. It doesn't matter if you're a starseed or not. I mean, you can be the greatest of starseeds and greatest of informers with truth or whatever, but we're all prone to the same laws of physics, and that we all seem to go through the same bullshit. You know? And we all have to have the understanding is that no man or woman or child is above or below one another. We are equal, plain and simple. You know, it doesn't matter. You take away the money, you take away their power. What do you got? Well, at the end of the day, if they're in jail, just another bare bum. Okay, but if out here in reality, they're just another one of the masses. Take all that crap away, their status, their money, their power. They're no different to the rest of us. They would expect help if they were in that position. We have to find, we have to give them that compassion. Absolutely.
And I don't mean this to be negative. I mean this as a means to try to be a little more compassionate and turn yourself around and realize what you're doing to yourself also. Or not you, but like in general, people out there that are charging an arm and a leg for all the spiritual crap, taking advantage of the spiritual world. Yeah. It's a bunch of BS. We're supposed to be together. I understand to a point, yes, you need funds, but at the same time, how fair is it to have so much? And what if that one person that needs help the most can't afford it? What if that one person was the key to it all and you didn't help that person because they couldn't afford it? First of all, the world is not of money. It never was. It was created that way by something else.
Yep. Rothschild money system. Yep. Absolutely.
And so to sit there and fall for that game, and you're just as bad as the rest of them at some point.
I feel exactly how you do about that as well, Jamie. That the fact that look, I understand that people need to make a little bit of money, especially with the economy and the world being the way it is right now. And I don't begrudge anyone that, but there is a way of going about it without actually ripping anyone off and actually making something for yourself, but still leaving something still in their pocket as well. And at the same time, as you said, what if that person that needed help couldn't afford what product, or whatever it is you're offering, but they were the key to helping you understanding something? I mean, really, at the end of the day, take away that money, that would be an equal exchange.
Yeah.
That would be an equal exchange because you're needing help and that person is able to give you that help, but there's information that you might have that they do not know that you could actually just blurt out during that healing, and all of a sudden a light bulb or floodlights have gone on like Wrigley Field, or Yankee Stadium, they just flooded the place and lit up the joint, and all of a sudden they get it and they go, I'm not going to charge this anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. And, the information is worth far more than what money can ever buy.
Exactly. And we get that information for free. A lot of us spiritual get it for free, so what gives them the right to charge? Like, and just there's a balancing. You got to balance better. You can't
balance. Yeah.
Everything's like has a balance. I noticed. See, that's a hard thing I had to understand. And even though we're at odds right now, that's one thing my twin flame actually helps me really understand that physical aspect a little better. You do have to kind of do the job thing to a point, just to get, and just enough for me to make ends meet and all that. But I still try to read my cards, and I still try to do a lot of my stuff for free as long as I can.
Yeah, I do. I'm the same. I don't do anything. I don't charge for anything. I mean, I'm just a simple pensioner who has had a very extraordinary path and journey along my way, and whatever I have that I have to share, I'm quite happy to share free of charge because that's how I got it. It came to me. It shall come to those that want that information as well. No charge, because at the end of the day, you take away this Babylonian money-making system that they've all got around them right now, mate, that info goes free anyway.
Yeah.
So people are going to have to get learned. They're going to have to get used to this new world that's coming soon. I mean, it's not a digital currency that's going to be coming. We're looking at a whole new way of doing things. If you want keys to how the way the things are going to be doing things, everyone, go watch a bit of Star Trek. Yeah, there's no money in the future.
Mm-hmm.
All you have is an open resource economy and a system where you basically can pretty much replicate and create anything you want, whether it be uniforms to alcohol. They call it synthahol. Synthahol. It's synthesized alcohol so that you don't get drunk while you're on duty. I love it. Yeah, they call it synthahol because it's synthesized. It's made from the very protons and electrons that all things are made up of. But yeah, but Star Trek itself, yeah, there's an absolute key there within those TV series, especially Discovery and new Strange New Worlds. I'm a big fan of Star Trek, always have been, and I mean, it's been a part of my life as long as Star Wars, and not as long. I mean, Stargate's far less, but just the fact that these shows were created specifically for us to get a glimpse of what the future is pretty much to be, and we are heading towards that Star Trek type future where it's all, open resource economy, where basically if you wish to become something that your heart's desire, then you can go do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? No money is going to stop you from doing it. If you wanted to learn the violin or cello, you can go to a music auditorium and pick up a violin, take it home in a case and use it. Just don't destroy it. Treat it with respect. But when you're done with it, you bring it back and you put it back exactly where you found it so that someone else who wants to learn that violin or cello or whatever instrument can come along and pick it up later. It's an open resource economy. Everyone has everything. You got your own things and you don't have any less than anyone else. Everyone is comfortable, but it's not this new world order crap that they're all trying to push across where you have nothing and be happy. No, it said you have everything and you're happy. You know what I mean? Because there's that equality there. There's a balance. And yeah, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds and all that, Discovery, they show it. It's all there. The balance is there. Oh, wow. I've got a couple of things. Actually, I was going to say, everyone, I didn't get to actually speak about this. There's a incident last week, on Thursday last week, that I had where I woke up at 2 a.m., where I actually had to write down. And I think I shared this with you, Jamie, didn't I? In a previous phone call, 2 a.m. wake up where I had to write everything down that was a download. And I was actually going to share this with everyone today, just briefly, because this is something that was quite profound. Like, it actually came through in such a way that I actually was like shaking to a degree when I came from my sleep and writing this down. I couldn't get it out fast enough. But anyway, this is what I wrote down. I would like to actually share this with everyone right now. This is how I see quite possibly the way things are going to go down within the next few months. And this is actually later on, after I wrote this down, 5 hours later, I discovered a video by Dr. Michael Suller, that had been released that morning, which pretty much, if you actually listen to Dr. Suller and then go and listen back to what I'm about to say, very, very close in interpretation of each other. We actually get it so accurate. Like, he's obviously reaching in at some point through his, whatever, however it is he gets his information, whether it be through meditation or through actual handings to him or whatever. Mine came to me in a sleep, and he actually put a video out there 5 hours before I actually wrote this down. And when I've written it down and then like a few hours later gone and watched his video, I'm like, it's like I'm listening to myself. It was crazy, because what he came out with was very similar to what I just wrote down that morning at 2 a.m. So this is how it goes. For many thousands and thousands of years, the remains of ancient and lost civilizations have been living in subterranean or undersea dwellings or bases. Ancient people that have utilized many advanced technologies, continuing to flourish, also maintaining esoteric knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual teachings from these times that were attained by us through extraterrestrial humanoid visitors. Most of these subterranean and ocean-based living peoples are the survivors of some of Earth's most catastrophic, of one of Earth's most ancient catastrophes. And over thousands of years, the people that fled to the underground or underwater bases have seen on occasion and have interacted with us, the surface people, sharing their spiritual and advanced technological knowledge. This is where our legends of Agartha, Shangri-La, Shambhala, and all the sub-oceanic cities inhabited by the mer people or mer fish people. Proof of these mer people have existed all throughout history. If you go to the actual times of Jordan, you'll see that these cave paintings exist from thousands of years ago where humans interacted openly with these people from the sea. Now, in our time, the residents of these lost civilizations have been brought into a very elaborate and divisive plan to finally reveal themselves to us, the surface peoples of humanity. Thus, by doing so will also be revealing the true history of Earth and our galactic connections off-world. All the aforementioned groups have started working with an Earth-based alliance of all nations that all possess knowledge of the SSP. For those of you who don't know what SSP is, secret space programs, that are working side by side with the ancient off-world visitors that have returned to usher in a new golden age of humanity to our very evolution as well. This is a very carefully laid out plan that has been put together via these off-world groups, and recently General Van Herk of NORAD had a very secret meeting with them, and this plan of a multi-phase, and the plan that is about to unfold has a multi-phase aspect to it, starting off with the revealing of amazing, awe-inspiring discoveries with Egypt's underground city complex, and within the pyramids, the technological secret artifacts that are still to be seen by the general public and will be soon. The peoples of these subterranean and ocean cities also plan to eventually reveal themselves to humanity and possibly invite certain individuals that are in alignment with themselves or on a higher frequency to maybe eventually stay permanently with them, or just to visit. The second phase of this plan will be revealing of the secret space programs and the Stargate programs to the masses of the world, alongside the advanced anti-gravitic propulsion, energy and medical science technologies that have been in existence for just over 70 years that were actively suppressed immediately by the deep state and its many inner conglomerate groups. Then the final phase will be for our off-world and inner Earth and under-oceanic families to finally reveal themselves to the rest of humanity. And will also be revealing the true off-world connections with our own DNA being compared to our ancient sisters and brothers. This has been an ongoing war that has been openly played out in front of our very eyes for the better part of 113 years just prior to World War II, from World War I, but in total, honestly, thousands of years in the making, since the intervention of the malevolent off-world groups, Draco Reptilian, that made the deal with Enlil. The very negative dark forces that have taken the people and the planet for ransom. Since the positive galactic forces have arrived within our solar system, working in coalition with our six-branch military Space Force groups, these negative forces have thus been removed from our solar system, and hence why Earth's governments and secret societies are now coming to an end, and the people of the Earth shall be finally free. It's now time for us all to find our lineages, connections, and our inner voice and light to shine. And our space sisters, and learn of the lineages that we have connections with of our space sisters and brothers. It is time that we, as a people, as a planet, unite for a future of oneness. And that's what came to me at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had to write all that down when it came. And only 5 hours later, I discovered that Dr. Sala had put a video out saying something very similar. So I don't know how it is that I tapped into Dr. Sala's information, but whether he was drawing upon that from outside through deep meditation or from information that he was putting together, I don't know. All I know is that I woke up from a sleep at 2 in the morning, and I had to write that down so quickly that I couldn't get it out fast enough. And then once I've written it out, a couple of hours later, I watched Dr. Sala's video, and I'm sitting there going, this is crazy. Like, it's like listening to myself. It wasn't the same as what I said, but it was very similar. Multi-phase plan, how it was playing out, and how, it just, I couldn't believe it. So it kind of gave me a kind of, what I would say, like Marconi and Nikola Tesla back in the 1900s did where they both invented the radio, the wireless radio at the time. Now, Marconi accused Tesla of stealing his patent and design from France when, in fact, Tesla was still in America. I mean, that's impossible. It's a 3-month journey back then because they didn't have, active planes traveling that far as such, across the pond. But it was mainly a boat journey. So really, I mean, what happened is that Tesla and Marconi were both drawing in from the ether information that could exist from past, present, and future, brought it in, and they both come up with the same invention at the same time. I can kind of clearly say that that's probably what might have happened to myself and Dr. Sala. I was in deep sleep. I was in a very relaxed state. I was reaching into the ether through my dream state, and I brought back some information with me that had to be brought down and written down. And it wasn't until I wrote it down and then watched Dr. Sala 2 hours later that I've discovered that he wrote exactly almost the same thing, not quite the same, but very much along the same lines. So it kind of blew me away. And I thought I'd just share that with everyone because that kind of just goes to show, it gives credence as to how much we are truly powerful, connected to each other, that if two people on opposite ends of the planet can actually come up with the same things back then, Marconi and Tesla, today, myself and Dr. Sala, it just shows how much we are on par and heading for a future that is definitely positive, especially for Dr. Sala, who is so esteemed within his field and be so well recognized, to say such a statement and be so accurate, and seeing how it's playing out right now in front of us since that video was made. So much has amped up since that video was made and since me writing this down. We're seeing multitudes of things happening behind the scenes. So that just tells me that really, at the end of the day, we're in the final phases of this, this plan, and eventually, what I just previously mentioned is going to happen in plain sight. And a lot of people, I will say it, are going to shit a brick because they have no understanding of it. And that's where people like yourself and myself, Jamie, are going to have to come into it and actually help a lot of people have an understanding, especially of the historical part of it that's been left out specifically, due to the fact that high school was made so freaking boring for everyone that everyone just chose a topic that they were really good at and they focused on that. Not many people were good at every subject across the board. I was only good at history, music, art, and geography. That's all I was good at. Everything else didn't give a shit about. But it just shows, like the history itself was made so boring in class for everyone that they just fell asleep during. Whereas me, I'm sitting there going, couldn't get enough of it.
Well,
and that's what led me down my path.
Yeah. Well, and it proves too that there's connections within connections, and there's a stronger connection with each other than you think there is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've felt when you're upset. You've felt when I've been upset, and we're on the opposite ends of the planet.
Yeah.
And we've run each other when it's happened. Like great. Bob has even done the same thing. Like he actually, I did it the same as the other morning. I woke up from a dream where I saw Bob and 3 other colleagues where he works prepared to walk out because they were very, and I mean very, pissed off. Okay, it's something that was going on within the workplace, and him and 3 others. And I messaged him as soon as I got up. Just woke up from a dream, blah, 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 blah. Saw you and 3 others ready to walk out because you were pissed, like really angry. And he came back at me and said, mate, you have no idea how on par you are and connected with me, mate. You are so dead on the money. And I was like, whoa, I just saw that in a dream, man, and you're actually going through it? Like, wow. It just shows you how much we are inherently connected to each other, whether it be spiritually, vibratorily, energetically, spiritual, anything. We're all connected on every level.
Oh, and I think there's a big misconception too when you talk about when we talk about letting it go. Too many people seem to think that letting it go means you accept it and let it happen. You're not letting it happen. You're removing the baggage. You no longer need to hold on to it. It's done and
Yeah,
over with. Let it go. You don't need to sit there. That there's a difference between letting something happen to you as to resolving it and realizing you don't need to hold on to that because it's been resolved and let it go.
absolutely wise words, Jamie. Thank you for actually emphasizing that. That's actually something that I was going to say next. Thank you for actually doing that because it's very important. Letting it
Mm-hmm.
go is the biggest thing that you need to do. That which does not serve you anymore or does you any good needs to be put to the wayside and let go. Because only can it be replaced with positive vibrations, frequencies, polarities, spiritual knowledge, wisdom, understanding, empathy, compassion. All these things come into play once you let that bit of baggage go. You'd be surprised as to how much people this stuff can really liberate and set you free up here and in here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't emphasize that enough. Thank you, Jamie, for touching base on that. That's absolutely brilliant. Um, I was going to say, because we're actually approaching now in the 2 hours, 10 minutes. Wow, mate, we've been going pretty strong. And
Yeah.
it's a shame that Bob wasn't here for it all. And he had to leave us, unfortunately. But we always got next week. Can't wait for him to come back. But yeah, I
Oh,
was going to
yeah.
say we should actually start getting close to wrapping this up soon. I was going to say, everyone, if you I just wanted to ask everyone too because there's a lot going on right now with people's channels, and unfortunately, a good friend of ours from Voice of Freedom, Carl at Voice of Freedom, Carl Liebold, he unfortunately lost his channel about a week ago at Nun 2K. Not lost it, was just put on suspension. Um, but I was going to say, for anyone that is here within Australia or even overseas, if you actually wish to catch an actual insight as to what's going on within Australia, please tune into our good friends over at VOF, Voice of Freedom, on YouTube. Please go and head over to Carl's channel and give him an actual like and subscribe. And like the videos. Please give him a thumbs up. Please give him a subscribe because that really helps. But by sharing his videos and mine as such as well, actually gets our videos out past the YouTube algorithms to a wider audience and helps our channels expand and get the information out shared to a wider audience. So if you can just go over to Voice of Freedom and show Carl your support, because he's actually one of very few people that are doing some amazing work here in Australia right now, and actually kicking some major ass. And he is just an absolute gentleman and a scholar, and he is absolutely everything that we hope that most people should aspire to be. He's very truthful and honest. He has nothing but Australia's and the world's best intentions at heart. So please, you can just go over and see Carl at Voice of Freedom, give him a subscription and a like and a thumbs up, and share his videos. That'd be really greatly appreciated because I know that he would appreciate it too. And that's what this is all about. Everyone is backing each other up, scratching each other's backs and helping each other, lifting each other. Because nothing, no woman, man, child shall be left behind. No one. So that's what this is. This is the reason why I ask everyone to go over and do this. And the same vice versa. I hope that people will do the same for me with their channels as well, as I will do for them. Robert Earl White, excuse me, Robert Earl White and a good friend of mine, Robert Khalil from Typical Skeptic Podcast, have both got great shirts on at the moment. I'm actually unable to show you any copies of them. I will get photos of them so I can put them up in screen share in the future in our next show. But Robert Khalil from Typical Skeptic Podcast has got a great shirt right now where it says realize, as in realizing up here, real eyes here, and then realize in the brain. And beside the real eyes is the all-seeing eye. And it's basically showing us that we need to realize that the real eyes is not realize. So beautiful shirt. You got some other shirts there by Robert Earl White as well. Can't remember the name of his Draco Reptilian that he's got on his shirt, but it's a really cool shirt, and it really gives a lot of people thinking. So go over and head over to Robert's store, and both Robert's stores, Typical Skeptic Podcast and Robert Earl White in the Order of Light /YouTube, and go into their online store and have a look at their products. I've got to say, everyone, there's some amazing stuff there that you would really love to get because, I mean, it's all in just of actually being able to be supportive of each other. I mean, these guys have had a bit of a hard time with some of the things that have been going on for them. And I mean, the way the economy is right now, I mean, as much as we don't begrudge anyone to be able to make a dollar here. And really, at the end of the day, merchandise is a good way to go, and that's a good way to support local channels. I mean, myself and Jamie both agree that to charge for this information as such, we both are dead against it. We'll give it out free of charge from our own personal knowledge and wisdom. We'll give that to everyone. But to charge for actual products and merchandise, yeah, absolutely. That's all about supporting the channel and helping local people actually support themselves and actually earn money for their families. Because, I mean, we all know right now this economy, this world and everything that's going on right now is absolutely batshit crazy. The actual banks are all in the process of falling right now. We're seeing many banks going down around the world. So basically, when the economy falls out from underneath it, I mean, these people still have to provide food for the table and pay their rent, etc. Or some form of living. So basically, for the time being, please show your appreciation to Robert Earl White and Robert Khalil by going over and purchasing some of their products and actually helping these guys out, because they do a lot in the community. They actually are really kicking ass at the moment. Just on another note, we've got another show coming up as well on Friday night next week, which is our Truth in Plain Sight show. Cannot wait for that, because it's going to be starting with Stargate. That's going to be awesome. I'm in the process of prepping for that right now. I won't be using certain material. I was actually in request of certain material from a good friend of ours over at Journey to Truth, Tyler. And I learned some information through Tyler recently that has led me to the path now where I will not be using that information, thanks to Tyler, because, the person that originally put the information out, it's come to light recently that they've been put on the list. And as much as they've been put on the list, suffice to say that we still at some stage know that the story or the information that this person revealed on their show was quite accurate, and they were involved in these programs. We actually do not really question that. What we do look at is the fact that they have been put on the list, and it's not good to be known to be using material as such that is actually connected to someone that's been put on that list. So I refuse to use any of that material, but I've got enough information and material of my own to show and prove wholeheartedly that the Stargate program has been in existence for over 27 years. And it's still ongoing today, and it's about to be revealed to the world in the next, God knows how many months, to a couple of years maybe. Who knows? But all I know is that Brad Wright, the director and writer and producer of Stargate series and movie, has even said very similarly in the recent months during COVID, that at a time right now when the world needs it, the gate should be revealed to the whole world. He made that statement. And where we could utilize the technologies from beyond our world that are outside this realm to help everyone on this planet this time. To make such a statement during that point in time of COVID, I find very, very peculiar, to say the least, because I think that, the white hats to somewhat degree have actually got quite a lot of control about how this is going to come out, and they are going to reveal it. And I dare say they'll probably use Brad Wright, the director and producer and writer of Stargate, as a means to convey that to the public in the near future. So keep your eyes peeled for that, people, because Stargate, the actual real Stargate, is going to be revealed. I mean, we have one here in Australia. We have one here at Pine Gap. We even have teleportation pads that go from here directly to Cheyenne Mountain Complex. If you think I'm bullshitting you, go look at the schematics and have a look at the declassified material. It's all there. But, be prepared, people. Stargate is going to be coming out in a big way. And when you do, everyone will look at the actual TV series more so as a guide, if you will, as to what has been playing out for the last 26 years since the implementation, 27 years since the implementation of its program. And everything that we're seeing in the show is, to a degree, somewhat declassified material that's been put into a script for entertainment purposes. You know what I mean? So what we're seeing is real mission files put into an entertainment format for us to enjoy. So, whether it be the different beings that they've worked with out there and actually working alongside and trading with, because we've got 22 or more different societies, civilizations that we're openly trading with through the gate right now. I can tell you that much right now. We are actually openly trading with other civilizations out there using the gate as a means to get their end back. And for our help, they give us technology and understanding, medicine, all sorts of forms of cures and things like that can really help the world. But none of it's been put out there due to the fact that the powers that be didn't want it out there so they could maintain their control. Well, their control's lost, and it's only a matter of time before that Stargate program gets revealed, and many other programs like the SSP programs off-world. So just keep your eyes peeled for it, people, because it's going to happen, and I do not doubt it whatsoever.
Well,
Go, James.
I definitely believe in portals for sure, because I know for a fact that that's got to be another way they're kind of like pumping in all this extra energy too to help us raise our vibrations. Because I sense something right now really happening too.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of energy right now flowing through. I'm just like, wow. I'm seriously trying hard to focus, but it's like, woo.
Oh, yeah, trust me. I've been distracted a couple of times. Even during this show right now, there's been a couple of moments where I've had to quickly regain my thought because I lost my train of thought because I was distracted for a moment. And you probably even picked up on it a couple of times too.
Yeah. And while you were really reading, looking at your paperwork, I was listening, but I was like,
saw you. Yeah.
The cats were I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? They're like lost.
They're loving the energy, the levity of the energy in the rooms between your room where you are and my room. Like Bodhi's just over here on the floor. You know, he's just loving it. He didn't get up on the couch because he was partying all night and doing his thing. You know, as much as I kept him inside, he parties, he rages when I'm asleep. But yeah, he's crashed out. But like your cats, they're loving the energy and they're surrounding themselves with it right now. You know, the energy can sometimes wipe you out and go to sleep. Sometimes make you rage and run around the room like your kitty cats.
Yeah, along with other spirit things floating around too. Like I work with dragon spirits occasionally, and you see that little blue thing behind me. Occasionally, I see that moving, and that's not all the cats.
I've seen that moving during the show, and I know I can feel that your cats were not near them. I could feel that they weren't near it, but I could see that moving behind you, and I was like, yeah, there's something there.
Yeah.
Something there. You've shown me a couple of times, even in the dark when we've had a private conversation, you've shown me in the dark how the energy, the light is there, and then you turn on the light, and there's no light there, but the room's light's on, but the actual movement of these things behind you is still moving, and I'm like, whoa. There's no air. I know there's no air flowing in your place there. There's no fans, no aircon going on. You know, there's something there, and I've seen and felt it. Definitely. I was going to say, Jamie, any final words for the week to carry us over between now and Friday next week before we do the Stargate show? Is there any spiritual, uplifting words you'd love to share with the audience and just put out there and just help carry them over for the week?
Just remember, no matter what you go through, no matter what is going on, no matter what crazy scenario, love always heals. The less hate you have, the better we are.
Yes. Wow. Very wise words. Absolutely, indeed. Thank you for that. Because
if we're going to heal each other and heal everybody and just heal the earth itself, how are we supposed to ever get along if we stop hating? Quit hating on people we know nothing about.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I'll just quickly touch base on that quickly too before I give my final words of the week as well. There are a lot of people out there that's been made to my attention recently that have been putting a lot of shit, and I will say it, a lot of shit on Tyler and Aaron from Journey to Truth. And all I can say is shame on you. Shame on you for calling yourselves uplifted spiritual beings that can sit there and be so supportive of such two beautiful, amazing gentlemen that are very balanced, divine, masculine, feminine energies, to be doing what they do and risk all that they risk and say all that they put out there and produce for everyone's benefit, mind you, because you're all benefiting from it. How dare those of you that have turned your backs on him and Aaron, as you have, by calling them the heinous, egregious names due to the fact that they had to revoke certain videos from their platform because of a certain individual that appeared with them. That is not their fault. And all I can say is that your judgment shall also come back on you at the end of the day. So what you put out there, you shall get back. And all I can say is, I'm not judging you for it. I just say, unfortunately, it's shame on you for doing such a thing because unfortunately you have not done the necessary inner work or shadow work so that you would not be so judgmental of them. And all I can say is I hope and wish you all well, but please, unless you know exactly the circumstances behind what has happened and transpired and why those videos, regardless if they put an announcement out or not, look at yourselves, people, before pointing a finger at someone else. Look at yourselves in the mirror and say, really, at the end of the day, I need to work on myself, because really those two gents, they have done a lot on themselves personally and for the community, and for anyone to turn their backs on them right now and the way that you've spoken egregiously against them, all I can say is shame on you, and I hope you make it, and I hope you do the inner work, because there's no reason at this point in the game right now, as far as we have come, especially as far as we have come, there is no reason really for any of you to be really carrying on if you say that you're spiritually inclined and aligned. If you are spiritually inclined and aligned, you would not carry on, nor would you actually be a judgment of those two fine gentlemen and all they do. So please look at yourselves before looking at them and pointing a finger. That's all I ask. I'd say this with no judgment. I say it with love, because I would love to see you all make it too. But please refrain from saying such heinous, egregious statements against the two guys, because they deserve better. And you know full well that you are capable of it, so try and show it, hey? But yeah, I'll just give with my final words for the week. I'm just going to just pretty much put this out there. I would love to see. I'm actually going to read this because I actually wrote this down because it's just too much for me to remember. I actually wrote down for everyone to please just remember, at the end of the day, get out there more and ground in nature, everyone. That's one big thing. Eating high vibrational organic foods, and go to the markets to get them, because only then, by going to the markets, you're supporting the local growers, as this is the way of the new world that we are creating, and cutting out big chain corporations in the process, and giving back to the smaller chain and the communities that built it to keep it alive. Make sure during these testing times, we also need to meditate more and exercise. Try not to fall into the negative traps of false narratives and disinformation. I wrote that part especially for you and I, because of what happened with our misunderstanding last week about the disinformation aspect that we were getting back and forth from. I wrote that especially for everyone out there because of our experience, because it's something that does need to be covered, Jamie. The fact that there are false narratives and disinformation, and we nearly fell into the trap of that last week, which nearly pinned us against each other, mate. And we can't have that, because that's what creates division and conquers us within our community. So we nearly fell for that last week, and I'm glad that we didn't, because we're still like this, mate. We're still like that. And I love you for it.
Yep. And on that note, I mean, I have all these gifts and I work with energy, but at the same time, I'm still the same as everyone else. I have a hard time discerning it sometimes myself. I mean, I'm no better than anybody else, and everyone is on equal. And I even misinterpret it occasionally. And that's another thing too, is when you're reading through energy and learn to read through the energies, sometimes you forget other physical aspects of it too, or you miss something.
We can, yeah, absolutely.
Because
I agree, totally.
Because I'll have a different perception on it, how someone else was, and coming together to understand the different in perception, maybe you could come to a conclusion of another perception between the two that makes sense.
Absolutely. I agree totally, 100%. False narratives and disinformation, psychological and disinformation as well. This is psychological and disinformation war going on. Be sure to stay frosty and use your intuition on everything, people. Question everything, but always remain in a discernful mind. We must unlearn and discern. And another quote from Master Yoda, we must unlearn what we have learned, people. Okay, Master Yoda was very wise beyond his years when I was a child. In Empire Strikes Back, those words are 40 years old. Okay? Yeah. So I mean, Yoda's the man. He got it all going on. But always remain in a discernful mind. We must unlearn and discern. But above all, be as James Gilliland says, be in an open mind and a loving heart. But only together can we make it out of this war. My good night to everyone. Is basically going to be, from here on in, I'm going to say good night to everyone, because I'm going to say, this has been a really good show. I've actually really enjoyed myself and having you with me, Jamie, just for a preliminary Reboot. The real Reboot's next Saturday night, where I have the music and everything sorted out. Because we were going to do all that today, but I thought because I've been having so much trouble with the StreamYard, and you know about my preset problem that I had before I went online, and my computer being messed with from outside sources, that kind of left me in a position where I wasn't able to get everything organised in time. But this Friday and Saturday night coming, different story. And if you can make it back for this Saturday night, would you be happy to join us at all, Jamie?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. I'm so glad. Thank you. And I've got to say, it's always a blessing to have you just in general conversations through the week, mate. Sometimes just hearing little things that come out from you gives me a little bit of information that helps me travel and carry me through the week. You know what I mean? So I'm blessed for not only being able to have you join us with the show, but also having that connection with you outside of the show as well. And I'm just very grateful to just, having you as my friend and just being part of my life, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. It's a learning process between perceptions, and sometimes it's a struggle for me because I get so many downloads of so much information. It's hard to decipher through it sometimes too.
It can, absolutely. Yeah, I find that same problem too. All right, well, everyone, I've got to say thank you, everyone, for joining us again tonight. Even though there's only a few people joined with us, I'm sure this will all get to play back later on. I know that everyone's very busy out there, but thank you for everyone that's joined us and for the beautiful comments. Aussie Sue, love having you with us as well. You're always beautiful, always awesome. And for everyone else that's joined us as well. But this is Starseeds and Patriots of Down Under saying goodnight to you all, and I hope to see you all next Saturday night. Please join us for our Friday night show as well, Truth in Plain Sight. And we're going to have a lot of fun with this as this goes forward and create a lot of great moments. We've got some great people coming on board, and just keep an eye out for it in the future, everyone, because I look forward to spending a lot more time with you now that I'm back on the horse and on the saddle. So in saying that, good night, everyone. Good night, Jamie. Have yourself a lovely evening, because I know it's getting late for you over there, isn't it, my friend?
Yep.
Yep, I thought it would be. So we'll say good night now. I love you all. Take care until then, everyone, and make sure you all unlearn and discern. Stay safe. Keep an open mind, loving heart, everyone. Take care until then. Oh, where's my intro? Oh, my intro disappeared, everyone. There we go. Good night, everyone.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next?
He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pen, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression.